Welcome to ESPN's Rivalry Week, presented by Remington.
It's an emotional day here in East Lansing as the seniors say goodbye to Michigan State, including Caleb Thornhill, whose brother played here. His dad played here. A Big Ten rivalry today between the Spartans and the Nittany Lions of Penn State. And we welcome you to ESPN College Football on ABC, presented by Best Buy. Just about 45 minutes or so down the road from Ann Arbor, where Ohio State has just wrapped up the Big Ten title. It's the Nittany Lions taking on the Spartans of Michigan State. And even though we do know that Ohio State is going to the Rose Bowl, they finish on top. The bowl picture very much in question as Penn State comes in 8-3 overall, 4-3 in Big Ten play, and Michigan State 2-5 with close losses in the Big Ten, a chance to get to 7-5 overall. And everybody, Terry Gannon along with David Norrie, Janine Edwards down on the field. There are 22 seniors on that field saying goodbye to Michigan State today. None of them has ever played in a bowl game. They have a chance to do that, to earn that right today. 6-6 may not be enough. And for Penn State, they're going bowling. The question is where. Joe Paterno still hopes they play on New Year's Day, and they have that chance. And as always, Dan Connor leads the way for a very good Nittany Lion defense. But the question is, and we've asked this for a couple of years, how well will Anthony Morelli play on the road?
Well, and I think this is going to do a lot to establish Anthony Morelli's legacy one way or another. I mean, this team still has a chance to have a 10-win season. They have a chance to maybe get into a New Year's Day bowl game, but as has always been the case, Anthony Morelli against the better teams in the Big Ten, he really determines how this team does. He's had problems with turnovers. There's no doubt he's got the full toolbox. Big arm, can move around in the pocket, deliver the ball downfield, and with Michigan State playing man-to-man almost the entire way this afternoon outside with their cornerbacks, I think it's going to be the big plays down the field by Anthony Morelli to the talented wide receivers that could be the difference in this game.
Well, you talk to Joe Paterno, you talk to the other coaches in the Big Ten, they say there's no way Michigan State is a 2-5 team in league play as Joe runs onto the field at the age of 80. And Michigan State, with all the close losses, if you try to stack up against the run, because they're known as a running team, it might be a mistake. They've got not only a 1,000-yard rusher, but also a guy at a wideout spot who's gone over 1,000 yards.
Michigan State probably has the most underrated offense in the country. They're scoring 34 points a game, the number one scoring offense in the Big Ten, and I think it's all about balance. Javon Ringer, he works in the backfield alongside J.U. Colcrick, the power runner in short yardage situations, but Ringer is a guy, he's gone over 1,000 yards, as he said, Terry. He's very talented between the tackles. He can break the big run. And then Devin Thomas, what a breakout year. Just needs one reception to break the single-season record for Michigan State. He's going to get a lot of work done against this Penn State defensive secondary this afternoon.
Michigan State, final regular season home game against Penn State here in the Big Ten. The kick is next.
Happens because of a commitment from the players and a belief in values and a belief in themselves. And once you start doing it, it continues. And I believe that can happen here. I truly believe that.
Well, that sense of belief that Mark D'Antonio came here, he's now in his first year as the head coach of Michigan State, didn't take hold easily at first when he said, we're going to go to a bowl game, we're going to have a winning season. There were some doubters, there were some critics, and some people even chuckled. But Janine Edwards, as you're down on the field getting ready, certainly right now the seniors here believe that's a very real possibility and that this won't be their final game.
That's right, Terry. You know, last spring, Mark D'Antonio took over this Michigan State team. They had lost 8 of their last 9 games, and the Spartans had become known more for their midseason collapses than on-the-field accomplishments. D'Antonio's demanded a lot of his team this year. In fact, he's pushed them to the brink, and in the process, the players say they found something they didn't know they had, inner strength. D'Antonio says that tough love was all about bringing pride back to Michigan State and earning the respect of the fans. A guarantee of gratifying those fans, as well as playing in their very first bowl game, hinges on winning this afternoon. And that, Terry, could could hinge on finding that inner strength.
Yeah, a chance to get to 7-5. And David, we had a chance to talk to some of the players this week who said he didn't quite know what to make of Mark D'Antonio when he first came in from Cincinnati. We had the freewheeling John L. Smith, the spread offense, and Mark comes in very serious, but right now they've gotten to know him and obviously very comfortable.
Well, not one loss by more than 7 points. They've been extremely competitive in every game in the Big Ten this season, and I think it said a lot about D'Antonio and his team going into West Lafayette a week ago, coming up with a big victory. I mean, that Purdue offense, the wide receivers, Curtis Painter at quarterback, that was not an easy win, and Michigan State has themselves in good position to end up with a 7-5 record in the first bowl game since 2003.
Kevin Kelly gets us underway. Devin Thomas, A.J. Jimerson back deep. Jimerson bringing it back out to the 20 and stopped right at the 20-yard line. Michigan State won the toss, and they obviously received here to start the football game. So it is Mark D'Antonio sending out his junior quarterback, Brian Hoyer, who had a big game last week, 22 of 31 for 266 yards, a couple of touchdowns, no interceptions against Purdue. And in that game, he had a streak there where he completed 11 straight passes. Classic pocket passer and a big arm, too, as they come out 1st and 10 from the 21-yard line. Devon Ringer, the lone setback, gets the call and ahead for 1, maybe 2 on first down. Drew Neitzel, the hoop star, and Best Buy bringing you the offense.
Starting at quarterback is junior Brian Hoyer. He's like a floor general out there running the offense. He's also got a great haircut. One of his favorite targets on the outside is Devin Thomas, one of the best playmakers in the country. And up front, senior Pete Clifford is making his last start at Spartan Stadium today. He could set a screen for me any day.
Yeah, Hoyer does kind of have the same haircut. They kind of look alike as Drew Neitzel, who averaged 18 points a game last year, the sharpshooter, and they've had some good ones here at Michigan State. J.U. Colcrick ahead across the 25 to the 26, and Best Buy bringing you the Penn State defense, and it is a very good defense. Maurice Evans, one of the top guys in the nation in terms of sacks and tackles for loss, but then the linebackers, anytime you talk Penn State, you talk linebackers, Dan Connor, the all-time leading tackler in Penn State history, and that is saying something. Justin King, the cover man. Anthony Scarrato, a guy who makes a lot happen in that secondary. But the linebackers, that duo, Connor and Lee, who've gone over 100 tackles each, and 2 of the best in the Big Ten. 3rd and 5, Hoyer plenty of time. Lofts one to midfield. Caught by Kellen Davis as he backpedals into Penn State territory. A gain of 31, and Davis, the senior, who's had a breakout season.
Now Hoyer coming off a red-hot game a week ago against Purdue. His tight end gaining depth in the secondary, and this was a really nice throw from Hoyer, dropping it in over the linebackers in front of the safeties. Gives you a little snapshot there of his talent with his throwing arm.
25th catch of the season for Kellen Davis, the tight end, who struggled a bit last year. They had that spread offense, got in some trouble off the field as well. Inside the 40 to the 37 goes Ringer. Justin King makes the hit there, along with Tyrell Sales. Ringer, the junior from Dayton, Ohio, has gone over 1,000 yards. Now has over 1,300 yards with that last carry, 1,305, and second in the Big Ten.
It's been a long drought. Spartans haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher since way back in 2002. That was T.J. Duckett. You combine Ringer and Colcrick, over 2,000 yards combined for the season.
Give you a different look, too. Ringer with the breakthrough speed, and Colcrick, who gets the ball here, he's got the power, more of a Bettis-like back. Stopped right at the line of scrimmage, falls ahead for maybe 1. Sean Lee, the outside linebacker, on the hit.
A lot at stake in this football game for both teams, bowl positioning. We sat down with J.U. Colcrick yesterday, and he remembers, even though he didn't play, but back in 2003, the Alamo Bowl appearance, and he and some of the other seniors were trying to describe to the underclassmen just how fun it is to get to a bowl game.
Coming off the 4-8 season last year, And 1-7 in the Big Ten. Not many expected Michigan State to be in this spot. You got 10 teams in the Big Ten. That one goes right through the hands of Devin Thomas. It was on the mark. Liddell Sargent on the coverage.
Again, Hoyer, this is a high degree of difficulty throw. A fade ball that he chooses to throw on the line, and it is right on the money.
Well, you got to catch that.
That's a play that's got to be made, especially against one of the top 10 defenses in the country. Hoyer knew it.
So it brings up 4th down. Aaron Bates on to handle the punting duties for Michigan State, averaging almost 40 yards per punt. Anthony Scarrato back deep at his own 10. Calls for the fair catch, and that's where Penn State will start on their first series. A punt of 29 yards. Scarrato, the safety from New Jersey, does a little bit of everything for the Nittany Lions. So we talked about D'Antonio being in his first year. Joe Paterno has been around a little longer than that, 42 years, as he sends Anthony Morelli out, the senior from Pittsburgh, and there have been some good ones from Pennsylvania, obviously, quarterbacks through the years. Joe Pot, the age of 80, and trying to get to a New Year's Day bowl. He's won 22 bowl games, had 33 appearances, and he's got another one this year. 1st and 10 from just inside the 10. Morelli, quick throw, has Derek Williams, and a flag right at the spot where he caught the football, up to the 16, maybe the 17.
And this might have been a blocking infraction outside on Dion Butler.
Dave Whitfoot from the Big Ten tells you it's coming back.
During the play, holding, number 3 offense. Half the distance to the goal line, repeat 1st down.
So they'll bring it back to the 6-yard line, and there is Butler, one of 3 receivers for Penn State with 40 or more catches.
Butler working downfield. Yeah, and he gets that left arm around there. That was not a tough penalty to spot on the perimeter.
So it's 1st down again, 1st and 14. And it's Rodney Kinlaw, who's really come on in the last month or so, being stacked up right at the 10-yard line. Nehemiah Warwick on the initial hit, then had some help. Best Buy bringing you the offense, including Kinlaw and Derek Williams, one of those 3 receivers, going over 40 catches this year. He's got 47 to lead the Nittany Lions, and then Cadogan leading the way up front, obviously in that left tackle spot, key in terms of protecting Anthony Morelli here. 2-time academic All Big Ten is Cadogan. So it's 2nd and 10, spotted just outside the 10. Morelli in the gun, going inside. Morelli came out wide, actually, and the inside get, that was to Derek Williams, but read perfectly by Michigan State. Irvin Baldwin all over him in a loss of 3. And Morelli actually went in motion that time.
Well, Joe Paterno, not big over the years with his offenses unveiling wrinkles, but Morelli comes in motion, gets set, the direct snap, and then Williams on the run wide.
All of that before the snap didn't fool Michigan State at all. 3rd and 13. Morelli is back there now from his own end zone. Underthrows Derek Williams, and we send it quickly to Matt Weiner in the studio.
All right, Terry, here's our nominee for the AT&T ESPN All-America Player of the Week. Ohio State's Chris Beanie Wells was slicker than the field in Ann Arbor. 39 carries, 222 yards, a career high, and a pair of touchdowns. To cast your vote, text the word VOTE to 87654 on your AT&T wireless phone.
All right, Matt, thank you. Buckeyes going to Pasadena. But a lot to play for the rest. As I said, you got 10 teams who are bowl eligible in the Big Ten. Record year. From his own end zone. Boone's punt. Terry Love comes up. A short punt. Great field position for the Spartans. It's out inside the 40. A punt of 32 yards by Jeremy Boone. So Michigan State taking over when we come back. Back with a look at the X Factor presented by Citi. David?
Yeah, for the Nittany Lions, they're really on defense, going to try to take away the Michigan State power game. And Michigan State gets everything done on offense off that running game, especially with the play action passing of Hoyer.
Play action. The Ringer. Hoyer over the middle's got a man. Down at the 20, complete. And it's Devin Thomas, the favorite target for Brian Hoyer. And the junior quarterback is sharp early, a gain of 19.
The Spartans have had so much success on the ground this year with both Ringer and Colcrick that you really have to honor the run game on defense, and that has opened up things for Hoyer in the play-action passing department. So many looks they can give you with wide receiver combination routes, as well as bringing some tight ends and fullbacks out into the pass matters.
And Thomas making sure that he held on to that one after the drop on the previous drive. Colcrick straight ahead. Big hole for J.U. Colcrick, the senior from Findlay Lake, New York. And a guy who's had 20 rushing touchdowns this year and scored 120 points, Michigan State records.
And Colcrick is a big bruising back. We've seen him over the course of the last 3 years in East Lansing, and can't be a lot of fun to be a linebacker or a secondary player seeing the big man come at you with a full head of steam down the football field.
Javon Ringer, the speedster now, the lone setback. Hoyer changes the play at the line. Quick throw, man wide open. Good read. Again, it's his favorite target. Thomas inside for a touchdown. Devin Thomas. On the previous reception, he broke the Michigan State single-season record. And that's catch number 70 for Thomas, and he did a lot after the catch.
He not only broke a record with the first 2 receptions, he broke a couple tackles outside. It looked like A.J. Wallace potentially, and Scarrato, the safety.
So Brett Swenson on for the extra point. Good spot, good hold, up and good. So Michigan State on the board, and the offense looking great early, and it's not just the running game.
One of the great breakout seasons for a wide receiver across the country. The stiff arm, no less than 3 broken tackles. Spartans break out on top.
This presentation of college football brought to you by Best Buy. This holiday will help you put together perfect gifts. Saturn, with 5 totally new models, it's just something to rethink about. Saturn. And Clean Exchange, a disposable head electric shaver, new from Remington.
Crowd trying to stay warm here. A chilly, overcast day in East Lansing. Devin Thomas, we do know that it was a touchdown for him. It was very close to a lateral. Not sure whether to call that a pass or a lateral yet. We'll get the official word. But he gets to the end zone, and it's 7-0 Michigan State. Derek Williams, A.J. Wallace back awaiting the kick. Boleski, short one, up to the 14. And it's A.J. Wallace reversing field as a flag out at the 30 as he comes down at the 25-yard line. And we'll sort this one out. And it is a hold against Penn State. Pretty impressive start for Michigan State against Joe Paterno's team on the road, or at least the Nittany Lions are.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 43 of the returning team, 10 yards from the end of the run, first down.
But you look at what just took place with that quick drive, and great field position after the punt from Penn State's own end zone. But it is tough when you watch this offense to figure out why Michigan State comes in only 6-5.
Well, they, as we said at the top, I think one of the most underrated offenses in the country, ringing up 34 points a game, tops in the Big Ten, and Hoyer just getting more and more comfortable at the quarterback position. And if you have a power running game that's been as effective as the Spartans run game has been this season, and then you get Hoyer starting to hit open receivers down the field off play action.
10 yards.
It's a tough offense to stop.
So they'll walk it back. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 16-yard line. Penn State 8-3 and 4-3 in the Big Ten, trying to get to 9 wins. And if you would win a bowl game, that's a 10-win season, and that's a solid year in anybody's book. Morelli. Kinlaw up to the 27. Good run on first down. Drew Neitzel back with the defense from Michigan State. Brought to you by Best Buy.
Up front, we're led by Jonell St. D, who leads the nation in forced fumbles and gets the ball back to the high-powered offense. My main man at linebacker, Caleb Thornhill, is a Spartan in every sense of the word. And in the secondary, Travis Key, who's always in the right spot at the right time, is always coming up with the big play. Let's go, Spartans. Let's get the win.
See the co-captain, Drew Neitzel, averaging just over 13 a game so far this year. But heck of a leader and a tough player for that Michigan State basketball squad. This complete out to midfield. Chris Bell on the catch. And a gain of 22 for Penn State.
Well, there's never been any doubt that Anthony Morelli can make the tougher throws. Nice feet in the pocket. Uses a little touch, dropping it into Bell on the post corner route. We talked to Galen Hall about 4 or 5 weeks ago, just before the Iowa game. He said Chris Bell is a real rough rider. He's the type of guy where you're really never sure what you're going to get from him in practice, but he is a big talent.
And you saw the numbers on Morelli. I mean, the solid numbers. 2 straight years over 2,000 yards, and put some air underneath this one. We're discussing this. Dion Butler on the catch, and it is a completion. They'll move the chains as we send it down to Janine.
Well, Terry, as you were saying, 2 years, Morelli's had 2,000 yards passing. And it's interesting because when you talk to the coaches, Joe Paterno especially, he says, what more could you ask from this kid? He said, I think this kid's gotten a bad rap. He said he's done everything we've asked of him, but the expectations for him were set so high that when we lost, the fans had to blame somebody.
Now, you saw the numbers too, Janine, and he struggled a bit on the road. And as David said, in the big games against the Big Three, Rodney Kinlaw slips after a gain of 2. A reminder tonight on ESPN and ABC, 7:45 Eastern on ESPN. Critical game in the Big East. Number 6 West Virginia taking on Cincinnati. That should be a great one. And then at 8 Eastern on ABC, number 4 Oklahoma still in the hunt and trying to clinch the Big 12 South against Texas Tech. College football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels, and Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines. Part of Rivalry Week presented by Remington.
That is not going to be an easy football game for West Virginia playing at Cincinnati.
Yeah, you kind of like the Bearcats in that one, don't you? Morelli looking downfield over the middle of the field at the goal line and broken up. Dion Butler was there. Contact. Kendall Davis-Clark, the boundary corner on the coverage.
And just to follow up on Janine Edwards' report on Anthony Morelli, I think Joe Paterno has put himself in a situation from time to time after games where he's had to defend Anthony Morelli. And, to be true to it, you got to remember that Joe Pa's son, Jay Paterno, coaches the quarterbacks. And Coach Paterno has always treated his kids as if they were his own. Jay Paterno obviously being his own, and I think he's been very protective in it, and at times maybe a little overly protective of this quarterback.
There is talent there. Morelli, though, even if you look at the next level, this one complete. What a catch while he was laying down. Derek Williams laying flat on his stomach and made the catch for a gain of 12 and a first down.
Now this is an even better throw from Anthony Morelli. Now Williams is going to slip. This creates a very small target for Morelli.
Wow.
And Morelli still puts in. The question is whether he secured this football. Did he get his arms underneath the ball? This might go up for review. I think it will. I don't think he caught that ball.
No, he didn't. And they're going to take a look at it. By the way, in terms of the question of whether it was a lateral or a pass, and that touchdown at the other end, it was ruled a pass. So it was a touchdown pass from Hoyer to Devin Thomas. And we'll take a look at this one. I thought I saw the ground come into play here.
Anthony Morelli, like Hoyer, has come out in this football game and is throwing the ball extremely well. I think there's no doubt that will be reversed. This will be reviewed and ruled as an incomplete pass, but I really like the way that Morelli has looked. He hit a nice corner ball to Bell and then the fade route to Butler down the sideline. Getting nice work up front from the heavies. Good pass protection. You know, and if there's been a major knock on Anthony Morelli over the last 2 years, I don't think he's done his best job against the better teams in the Big Ten.
Talking this week, though, with the coaches, and you were offering some thoughts that even on the next level, at 6'4", 231 pounds, with the talent that he has, he might get a look.
Well, I think there's no doubt that there are going to be scouts and coaches on the next level that are going to look at Anthony Morelli and all his gifts. I mean, he's a big passer. He's got a talented throwing arm. There are going to be people at the next level that are going to say, hey, we're going to be able to coach him up. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get on a roster at the NFL level, as much as that might surprise him.
Play on the field, ruling is reversed. The ball skipped in. There's a second on the 36-yard line.
Much to the delight.
Reset the clock to 7:07. 7:07.
The crowd here in Spartan Stadium, but not to Joe Paterno, but it is the right call.
Well, and Anthony Morelli, as a quarterback, sometimes you look outside and before you complete your delivery, you'll see a wide receiver slip and go to the turf. I really believe Morelli was trying to fit that ball in to Derek Williams, even though he knew Williams had lost his footing.
So it brings up 4th and 8, and they're going to place it down at the 43 for Kevin Kelly. His long is a 53-yarder. $18 of 23, and he's got the distance, too. It's a big reversal, obviously. From 1st and 10 to back you up to 4th and 8.
Well, it'll be 3rd down. 3rd down and 8.
Really? That one's news to me. And news to Kevin Kelly, who was out there ready to kick a field goal.
I think Mark D'Antonio is going to want to make sure here and have a discussion with the officials.
And some extracurricular out there as the two teams try to argue over whether it's 3rd or 4th down. Mark D'Antonio certainly thinks it's 4th down. See Caleb Thornhill jumping up and down. Now we'll sort it out.
Well, the first down pass to Butler on the fade route.
I got to believe it's 4th down, but we'll wait for the official ruling. But an odd situation is Kevin Kelly.
Correction, it is 4th down.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Dave. And back comes Kelly. Now, if you're Kelly, you get an Academy Award. You say, oh, yeah, exactly. It's 3rd. What am I doing out here? What's my mistake? Going back to the sideline.
Well, there's no doubt that Mark D'Antonio was going to hold things up and get an explanation. And that's what you want to see. You want to see him get it right.
2 of 7 from beyond 40 yards, but he does have that 53-yarder, and that's where they'll place it down, just outside the 43. Going to pooch it instead. So this one bounces inside the 5, down to the 1. And Penn State downs it there. Pooch punt at 37 yards and downed at the 1-yard line by Mickey Schuler. You've seen this from Joe Paterno, and you saw the Morelli going out wide earlier in the game. Not just playing it by the book. Not your normal series by Penn State before we went to the break. The question of whether or not it was 4th down or 3rd down, and we all had it as 4th down. Eventually they worked it out, and then they go back, line up for a field goal. The pooch punt down inside the 5, and Michigan State takes over 1st and 10 from just outside their own 1. Going to keep it on the ground. Ringer bouncing outside, looking for room. Drill as he gets to the 4. And in on that was Dan Connor with the extra effort. At the conclusion of today's game, we will select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund, as they always do. Mr. Lee with some turf up in his helmet. Be a play linebacker for Penn State. You got a great tradition to try to uphold, and certainly those two guys have. Approaching the 6-minute mark of the first, Colquitt gets the call and bursts through the initial couple of tacklers up to the 7. Look at the power of J.U. Colquitt.
This is really going to be a battle of wills up front, and it figured to be. Michigan State lining up. They like to use multiple tight ends. Obviously, they like to slam it at you with Colquitt and then give you change up with Javon Ringer, a guy who's a home run threat. And against this defensive front for Penn State, easily one of the top 10 in college football. I think we're going to see some hitting. I think we're going to see some real physical activity up front from both this offensive line and this defensive front.
Colquitt comes out, Ringer back in on 3rd and 3. Hoyer, who's been sharp, under pressure, is going to go down right at the goal line. Phil Taylor making his 4th start. Some pressure from Maurice Evans as well. A loss of 7, almost to the end zone.
Things sort of caved in on Hoyer here. Hoyer looking for a deep route down the middle of the field, and a lot of people watching might think this is a negative play for Michigan State. I thought it was a good play by Hoyer to get the ball back towards the line of scrimmage, not give Penn State an opportunity to pick up 2 points.
So Bates back near the end of his own end zone. And Penn State had to do the same thing in their last series. 2 series ago, and this one going to fall dead at the 46. A punt of 44 yards. Pretty good effort, but good field position for the Nittany Lions as they take over when we come back. 7-0 Michigan State on top here with 4:41 left in the first. Terry Gannon, David Norrie, and Janine Edwards with you. This is a Michigan State defense. You can get a big play against them. Tough to sustain the long drives. Only 5 drives all year of 5 minutes or more. But we saw all the plays of over 20 yards. Darrell Clark now in at quarterback. We saw him hand it off a couple of series ago. This one swung out wide of Derek Williams. But you talk to the coaches, David, and that's what you need to do against this defense is hit the big play. That's what they allow.
Well, they like to use pressure up on the line of scrimmage. They're not really an 8-man front. They're really a 9-man front. They like to lock up outside at the cornerback positions. They bring a lot of pressure. And what this defense does is they try to create the 2nd and long and 3rd and long situation.
2nd and 10. Penn State's already had a play of over 20 yards. Kinlaw, tough running and close to a first down. Rodney Kinlaw, the senior in Goose Creek, South Carolina. 168 yards last week against Temple, a career high.
He's very quietly gone over the 1,000-yard mark, and a guy who didn't get his first start until the 5th game of the season. Austin Scott suspended, and I think Kinlaw as well as Evan Royster have done a great job as the year has gone on, giving this Penn State running game some punch.
Royster a question mark this week. They do expect him to play, though. He's had an ankle injury. Morelli throws on the run, got a man, complete touchdown, Deon Butler. 37 yards. And do you want the play of over 20 yards? The big play? That's what they just gave up. So Butler, his 3rd touchdown catch of the season. Morelli thrown perfectly on the run. And here's Kevin Kelly on for the extra point. Through the uprights, and we are tied here in the Big Ten in East Lansing. 7-7 Penn State and Michigan State as we check in with John Saunders in the studio. John?
104th meeting between Michigan and Ohio State goes to the Buckeyes. Beanie Wells with 222 yards on the ground, over 1,400 for the season. They clinch the berth in the Rose Bowl. Missouri knows they have Kansas next week, but they had to beat Kansas State this week. Chase Daniel getting the job done. Missouri beats Kansas State, setting up that meeting next week in Kansas City.
John, you mean there was another game in the state of Michigan today? I had no idea. Ohio State.
You and I did that game a few years back. Tressel's first win in the series, first game. And how about the footwork by Anthony Morelli? Throwing that off balance. Don't get many better throws in the Big Ten than that ball to Butler. Butler was working man-to-man with Weaver.
Yeah, Weaver's missed a number of games, 5 games because of a foot injury. Devin Thomas brings this one back and has some room. Big return out to the 45. Penn State's had trouble that way this year. They've really struggled with their kickoff coverage. And Mark D'Antonio said, we do need to make some headway in this game, although there is a flag. It came late. But that's one of the areas where Michigan State thinks they can have the edge today. Penn State's given up a couple of touchdown returns off the kick coverage this year. One to Illinois, one to Purdue.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 5, the returning team, 15 yards from the end of the yard. First down.
So Devin Thomas at the end. And that'll cost him 15.
Anthony Morelli has been maligned. It's been much documented. You watch his work early in this football game. He has made some great throws. That ball to Deion Butler was a big-time effort. Play action, nice sell. And watch him throw the ball. Kind of moving to his right a little bit, off balance. Drops it right on the money.
Michigan State from their own 31. Javon Ringer bounces one way, straight ahead across the 40, close to a first down as we send it to Matt Weiner in the studio.
All right, Terry, Taco Bell update from Oxford, Mississippi. A crazy finished off Kansas State. The Tigers have 10 wins for the first time since 1960.
All right, man, thank you. Think about the Big 12, too, with Missouri and Kansas, obviously. Oklahoma right there, all in the hunt for a national championship. Colt Crick powers across the 45.
3 teams in the top 5 in the Big 12.
Hey, the race for the chase concludes tomorrow afternoon. NASCAR Nextel Cup Series Ford 400 at Homestead, Miami on ABC at 3 Eastern. You got Jimmy Johnson. What, he's going to win it? Is that what you're telling me?
He only has to finish 18th or better, and he locks down his second consecutive Cup. What a performance. He's won 4 races in a row.
Jeff Gordon, his teammate, right behind. And he's on the pole, is Johnson. So if he leads that first lap, which he can finish 19th and still win.
Be the first back-to-back winner since his teammate won in 97-98.
Now it's going to come this way. Gets a block and has a first down for Michigan State. So they're doing it on the ground on this series. Roland Martin led the way with the block, the right guard, and a gain of 8.
Michigan State with a nice mix of run and pass early. Take a look at Devin Thomas. Broke the Michigan State all-purpose yards record a week ago. Passed Lorenzo White, a record that Mr. White set all the way back in 1985.
Yeah, over 2,100 all-purpose yards here in 2007. Ringer looks for room to the 40. Josh Gaines on the hip, but they're getting in that, at least the linebacker area, if not the secondary.
And you know, Terry, what's intriguing to me is the way that Mark D'Antonio has changed the attack of this entire football team. You look at the offense, I mean, under John L. Smith, it was a quarterback-friendly offense, a lot of passing, wide-open play, but I think D'Antonio has turned this back into a Big Ten type offense where you slug away with the ground game, and then you take your chunks in the play action.
Yeah, think about the adjustment, too, for this offense, the skill position, and the offensive line, the way they block. Dan Connor wraps up Ringer behind the line of scrimmage.
He's hit at the 45.
A loss of 5, and Dan Connor, who leads Penn State in tackles, and 123 tackles coming into this game. Guy who leads the Big Ten as well. And we told you he's the all-time leader for Penn State. You think about the names who've played that position there.
Oh, it's really amazing when you look out and you see just a shot of a linebacker in a Penn State jersey and helmet. It's one of the lasting images of college football. And Dan Connor almost certainly going to win that Butkus Award, the 3rd straight year perhaps that a Penn State player has held that down.
This one's picked off. Scarrato bringing it back. Across the 40. Cuts back. down to the 20. Not much of a reaction from Joe, but Anthony Scarrato with his third interception this year. A little miscommunication.
Well, this might have been a misfire by Hoyer. Hoyer getting set, nice protection, and that ball was delivered behind his receiver, behind his intended target. He let the ball sail against this defensive secondary, especially a Scarrato. Very opportunistic. They'll take advantage.
Brought it back 53 yards. Yeah, okay, a little fist pump. Little tiger fist pump there. So Morelli comes out 1st and 10 from the 20. Royster's in the game. This one floated near the sideline and caught. Terrell Golden went high into the air.
Number 4, Terrell Golden.
The Michigan State secondary saying, no, he didn't come down in bounds, but they rule him in.
Well, he delivered this ball the same way he did on the touchdown. Again, on the move, throwing off the back foot. Anthony Morelli showing me some abilities in the arsenal that I have not seen from him. Again, dropping the ball right on a spot. You know, Terry, there are two types of passers. There are spot passers and there are neighborhood passers. And Morelli's putting on spots today.
And he did have control before going out. 1st and goal from the 7. Royster, play action, Morelli tosses it up again. This one's broken up. Andrew Corliss, the intended, but a nice play by Otis Wiley. Had a chance to pick it off.
Wiley made a nice play on this ball, and I think he's upset with himself that he didn't come up with a turnover. Taking a look at the top of the route. And that's a nice play by a safety getting back and working against Corliss, a tight end who really has some endless talent, and he could be as good a tight end when it's all through as any tight end that's played at Penn State.
Royster, the lone setback, going to get the call here inside the 5, carrying people down to the 3. Evan Royster, the redshirt freshman from Fairfax, Virginia. There's a question mark as to whether he would be able to play today because of the ankle, worked lightly throughout the week. And yesterday, Joe Paterno said, yep, it's ready to go.
Well, after the suspension of Austin Scott back in October, I think it's been a nice job by Kinlaw and Royster taking over, and we saw Royster really show some flash in his debut against Iowa, his breaking out party.
So Penn State is near the goal line for Joe Paterno, and we are tied 7-7 here at the end of the first in East Lansing on Senior Day for the Spartans. We're back right after this message and a word from our ABC station. Some Nittany Lion fans here on the road in a chilly East Lansing. Temperature 37 degrees. As we kicked off, it's dropping. We open up the second quarter. Penn State struggling here at the line of scrimmage. They scramble to fall on it. So it'll bring up 3rd and goal. Big day in the state of Michigan.
Love this song.
And our man Bob Seger, the Silver Bullet man.
Detroit flavor to it. I wonder what else our producer Bart Fox has in the lineup from Seger as this game goes on. A little Main Street.
Bob Seger from Dearborn, at the high school in Ann Arbor. So it brings up 4th and goal for Penn State. Michigan State defense with a good stop. This from 21 yards for Kevin Keller. And they lined up from 53 and then punted it. Not this time, no. This is up and it's good. Good hold from Jeremy Boone as well. Snap was a little wide and got it down for Kelly. Adds 3 and makes 10-7 on Penn State. Singer doesn't like this. It is time for our Aflac trivia question. When was the last time the Big Ten was won outright by a team other than Ohio State or Michigan? Give me some time to think about that.
I know this one.
I do too, as a matter of fact. I know it as well.
Played in the Sugar Bowl, I believe.
just after the turn of the century. This century.
Yeah, to clarify that. Opening moments of the second quarter, Devin Thomas brings this one across the 30 and out to the 35, and we send it down to Janine Edwards.
Well, Terry, I'd be curious to see if you and David noticed that for Penn State, they have completed every one of their play-action passes that they have attempted this afternoon, and it hasn't gone by the Michigan State defense, I can tell you that, because the defensive line coach, Ted Gill, was talking to his players before that last Penn State offensive drive, and he was talking to the guys. The guys were telling him what they were seeing from the Penn State players, and they were quickly trying to make some adjustments to the Michigan State defense, especially in play-action pass situations by Penn State.
And so far it is 10-7 Penn State. Offensively, they go back to work. The Spartans do at least. Colquitt head up to the 39. Dan Connor in on the tackle again.
Great flag here.
Yeah, out near midfield.
I can tell you as a former quarterback, to follow up Janine's comments, that it is always nice to have a running game in front of you that's honored by the defense. It creates so many openings down the field on play action.
After the play, personal foul, 12, defense, 15 yards, first down.
A.J. Wallace caught that time, the sophomore from Maryland.
We were talking to Mr. Hoyer yesterday, young Brian Hoyer, and he was telling us, a year ago, I threw the ball 61 times against Penn State, and the windows get a lot bigger down the field when you're able to fake the two talented running backs.
Yeah, it was the spread offense. It was his one start last year, and it was against Penn State as Winger fights his way to the 45, and we send it back to Matt Weiner in the studio.
All right, Terry, Missouri did its part to set up a showdown with Kansas next week. In this Verizon Wireless update, Jayhawks also off to a great start against Iowa State. Todd Reesing has found Dexton Fields twice, so it's 14-0 there. Tennessee has just scored to close the gap against Vanderbilt. A Vols loss would give Georgia the SEC East title.
Yeah, man, and Vandy trying to become bowl eligible, getting it to 6-5. So that would be big for them. How about Kansas, though, and what they're doing?
Reesing has had a heck of a year at the quarterback
and
position.
Should be mentioned in the Heisman names, but tough road to go from here. We'll talk more about that. Thomas, another catch, spins inside the 40. That's his third catch this afternoon, and a late flag as we check out the Pacific Life game summary and the numbers from the first quarter.
You look at total yards, pretty even. Spartans controlling the ball on the ground some, as they've done all year long, able to possess and chew clock.
And Antonio, he mentioned everyone adjusting to the new system. They made a good point, the coaches did. The fact that the coaching staff had been together for a number of years. They were at Cincinnati together. And it wasn't new to them, just the new faces here at Michigan State. But they were used to doing things the same way.
It provides a lot of continuity when the coaches are all on the same page. Whether it's an aggressive defense, locking up at the cornerback position like the Spartans have done this year, or a strong power running game. They like to run the ball to set up the pass.
The personal foul bringing it back. It's 3rd and 17. Hoyer almost lost it out of the shotgun. Gathers it. Looks for his tight end. Incomplete. Davis over the middle.
It looked like Hoyer had trouble with the football just prior to the release. Ball coming loose and not able to get a nice grip on the football until late. Ball sailed on him just a bit.
Last couple of sets of downs, he hadn't looked real confident. In fact, threw the interception, which eventually led to the 3 points for Penn State. So 4th and 17, they'll punt it away. Eric Williams back at his own 10, going to run up the field this one. Lost the football. Michigan State on it first. We'll see where the scramble ended up. Nope. Going to be Penn State football. And they were awfully fortunate to get it back.
Wow, you talk about a reprieve.
Josh Hall able to pounce on it. Watch how close Michigan State came to getting this. They had it right there. Hall able to scramble and get it back to the Nittany Lions.
This presentation of college football brought to you by Best Buy. This holiday will help you put together perfect gifts. The Nissan Titan, proud presenter of the 2007 Heisman Trophy. To cast your vote, go to theheismanvote.com. And Aflac, ask about it at work.
The Spartan statue here on the campus of Michigan State. Great campus too, especially this time of year. Until the snow starts falling, which we had flurries earlier today. And more expected perhaps later tonight. Penn State drill behind the line of scrimmage on 1st and 10. Rodney Kinlaw on the carry, hit by Jonas St. Deek. Yep, Aflac trivia question. Last time Big Ten was won outright by a team other than Ohio State and Michigan?
I think it's 2001, Illinois.
I think you're right.
Kurt Kittner. Ron Turner was the head coach.
Everybody's going to think we cheated.
Well, I happen to be fortunate enough to get to announce that Sugar Bowl, Illinois LSU down in New Orleans.
The Michigan flag there in Ann Arbor today. It was Ohio State winning in the Big House and earning a spot in Pasadena, winning the Big Ten title. Kinlaw slips out near the 20. Call it the 19, gain of 5, David.
Dr. Galen Hall on Wednesday, and he was really making a point of how Kinlaw had become patient in the zone running game. Penn State has not always been a zone rushing team. Offensive linemen blocking areas, utilizing double teams up and down the offensive line. And there's Galen right here behind the stanchion. But Kinlaw, he was saying, has really become patient, looking for holes, and has become very comfortable in that run game.
Galen, not only a former Penn State player, that one almost picked off right through the hands of Otis Wiley. Boy, the eyes get big. You see the end zone, you're thinking 6. He almost had a pick in the end zone a few minutes ago.
Yeah, this was a room service opportunity. Great recognition, reading the pass all the way. Wow. You don't get many of these opportunities, especially against a team like Penn State. And you got to make those plays if you want to end up this season 7-5 and guarantee your team of a bowl berth.
Right through his hands. Jeremy Boone punts from his own 10. And the fair catch called for as Terry Love runs away from it, and it'll be down at the 40-yard line. So Michigan State will take over after the punt of 41 yards. Hoyer getting set to go back to work here at home.
39-yard line.
Brian Hoyer and the Spartans take over. 1st and 10. 10-7 game. Penn State up by 3 here with 10:29 until the break. J.U. Colcrick in the backfield, the lone setback. Thomas in motion, play action on the run as Hoyer throws complete up to midfield and across midfield. Powering away is Eric Andino. And Penn State, Janine, did not bring a full complement of defensive players to East Lansing today.
That's right, Terry. They did not. Chris Baker, Navarro Bowman, and Knowledge Timmons did not travel with the team today. They have all been in trouble. Baker and Bowman especially. Charges have been filed against them for felony assault for their involvement in a fight on campus on October 7th. I spoke to the attorneys of both players, and they say they are filing for a continuance of the hearing next Wednesday, and I'll complete this after the play, guys.
All right, here's Colcrick looking for a hole. Falls ahead to the 44, Janine.
And Terry, both attorneys told me that the players and their parents were absolutely shocked by the timing of these charges. They say that they will demand a jury trial for their clients. Bowman is going to claim self-defense. Baker says he didn't hit anybody, and actually the police declined Baker's offer of taking a polygraph. And Joe Paterno told us it was a fight started not by our guys, but they should have walked away.
Yep, those incidents do happen on campus, but Baker, Bowman, not making the trip here to East Lansing because of it, so missing out on this final regular season game. Here's Ringer to the 40-yard line. Needs to get to the 38 for a first down.
Well, it hasn't been one of the easier seasons for Joe Paterno. There were some off-the-field distractions during the offseason. Of course, Austin Scott, problems with his number one tailback, and of course the fight, the altercation. But over the years, I can't think of a better program, a better head coach. You're not going to be able to police 90 players on a football team. At some point, they're going to be young men. They're going to be able to take care of their own affairs, and this is what happens with college athletes, and not just with college athletes, with students, period, at the college level.
1966 is when Joe Paterno took over, and overall 58 years on the staff. That's a pretty good run to stay at one place. In fact, when he started, it was LBJ in the White House.
7 undefeated teams, 2 national titles. At least a couple of those years with undefeated teams, I thought he deserved at least a share of the national title, including the 94 team that went 12-0. And went out and beat Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
And 8 presidents. The 10 years of 8 presidents, by the way, since the 60s as the head coach at Penn State. Janine, what do you have?
And another thing, guys, Michigan State coach Mark D'Antonio is 51 years old. Joe Paterno's been with the Penn State program for 52 years. D'Antonio wasn't even born yet when Joe Paterno became an assistant coach at Penn State.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he was laughing the other day at the idea of staying there. Somebody asked him, do you think there's any shot someone like you could stay at a place? Are you nuts? There's no chance. As long as Joe Paterno, right at the line of scrimmage, that one's stacked up. Hulk Rick is powerful, but not enough that time. Got hit by about 3 different Nittany Lions, including Bonnie Baju. And that man, Sean Lee.
It's Penn State defense. They don't give you a lot of window dressing. Very vanilla. They feel they can get their front 4 to control the run game and also to bring pressure. But they are as stout up front, trying to run the ball right at this defense. Tom Bradley, coach defense, has been a struggle for most teams.
Yeah, trying to get a timeout right now. You saw the numbers. And so they will take that timeout. That's their first. 8:07 left until halftime. You mentioned Tom Bradley, 29 years. I mean, the consistency not only with Joe Paterno, but on the staff. Unbelievable.
IBM presents the 25 greatest players ever. Number 9, Roger Staubach. Before he became a Dallas Cowboys legend, Staubach was arguably the greatest player in the history of the military service academies. He was given the 1963 Heisman Trophy after leading Navy to a number 2 national ranking. IBM, getting it done.
Great QB, Roger Staubach, as you look at the list there, and John Elway at number 15 on down. But think about Staubach as the last player from a military academy to win the Heisman, but maybe even more incredible, he's the last quarterback from Navy to beat Notre Dame until this year. That's a long time. And this one down at the 1. 40-yard punt, and good hustle to get down there for the Spartans to down it at the 1, Brandon Denson. Biggest music stars on the planet come together with live performances from Rascal Flatts, Maroon 5, Lenny Kravitz, Fergie, Rihanna, and more. For the first time ever, your votes will decide who wins the American Music Awards tomorrow night, right here on ABC.
I'll tell you, pretty hard not to be impressed by the way that Aaron Bates has been pinning Penn State inside their own 5. A real nice job by the coverage team for Michigan State on punts thus far.
Waller, Evan Oyster out of the eye. I'm really going to keep it and just power it ahead, try to get him some room for the offense.
Field position has really played into this game in the first half. Penn State backed up on their first couple of possessions, and Bates showing a nice touch. You run into so many football fans week to week, Terry Gannon, who say, hey, that art of punting the ball out of bounds inside the 20, it's a lost art. Aaron Bates is not so sure.
You run into fans who say that?
All the time.
Really? They're hanging out. Royster across the 5 up to the 7. Evan Royster, lightly recruited guy, who's a big lacrosse player, and that's part of the reason Joe Paterno went after him. So the guy can play another sport that well. He's an athlete. I want him. Bit banged up on this play. Had the ankle injury coming in.
Looks like that ankle is continuing to give him problems. Penn State with the luxury of just bringing Kinlaw back into the lineup, but Royster gives them a little shake and some ability to break the football into open spaces.
Big third down play coming up. You hear the crowd getting into it now, wanting to stop. Morelli, quick throw out, well read, well covered. Terrell Golden driven out of bounds. Travis Key, the leader in that secondary.
These safety athletes for Michigan State having a nice football game here in the first half. Key with a good break. This is a dangerous ball. The arm strength by Morelli, able to get the ball out on his receiver in time, but pretty risky throw when you don't have the prospects of picking up the first down out in the flat.
Key, a former walk-on, now one of the captains for the defense. Jeremy Boone, punch from his own end zone, gets this one off. Terry Love back at midfield. Fair catch at the 46. So the punt of 38 yards, no return. Good field position for the Spartans here at home, East Lansing, Michigan on a chilly day. So we heard a little Seeger. Jackson 5's a bit of a stretch. I know they're Motown. They spent time that way, but they're from Gary, Indiana. So our producer, Bart Fox, is taking some liberties here with that Detroit Motown sound. You go 7 years with Motown, you're still from Gary.
We're splitting hairs here. Come on, a little Jackson 5.
Tito.
Never have to have an excuse for that kind of music.
Play action. It's picked off. Sean Lee with a diving interception.
It's picked off by 45, Sean Lee.
Second interception thrown by Brian Hoyer.
Hoyer has done a great job throughout the season taking care of the football. Only 5 interceptions coming into this game. But this is a second bad decision he's made on a throw. And how about Lee? Just dropping out underneath that curl route. That's some pretty nice lateral speed. And there's no doubt in my mind that Sean Lee is going to make a great run at becoming the 15th All-American at the linebacker position as he follows Dan Connor.
Yeah, those two have been great together. Morelli drilled as he gets it out short of Terrell Golden.
And to be fair to it, Hoyer looks out. He sees his curl route, and he doesn't figure that Sean Lee's going to be able to get out underneath that route quite as quickly as he did. And a great job by Lee to extend and make that interception with the hands.
Respect Irvin Baldwin and Anthony Morelli. At the end of that play, I'll drill you to the turf, but then I'll pick you up and slap you on the helmet. To the tailback, Kinlaw. Head for a couple, that's about it. Make sure you stay with us. Coming up on the Capital One Halftime Report, John Saunders, Greg James, Doug Flutie. Got all the highlights for you, including BCS #1 LSU on the road at Ole Miss. And, of course, at the Big House, Ohio State and Michigan for the Big Ten title.
Capital One Bowl, the #2 tie-in for the Big Ten. Penn State has to be encouraged about Michigan losing earlier today. That gives them some prospects, their bowl alternatives if they can win this game.
Straight drop under pressure, Morelli. There's a flag on their play. Derek Williams, the intended receiver, was right at his feet. Yeah, the Outback Bowl, certainly a possibility. It's where Penn State played last year. The Alamo, certainly, even with a loss, perhaps.
Offside, 94. Defense, 5 yards. Repeat, third down.
Jonal St. Deke
With the loss by Michigan, if Michigan wins, they're clearly ahead of Penn State in the bowl picture, but they lose, and you look at the 8-4 record, if Penn State is able to win this football game, they're going to have a better overall record than Michigan and quite possibly could get the more attractive bowl game. And they'd only have 3 losses. Illinois finishing the season with 3 losses as well.
Yeah, you got the Rose locked up, but then the Capital One and the Outback, and then after that, the Alamo, and they could end up there. For Michigan State, on the other hand, if you lose this game, you're even money. You're 6-6, and it may take 7-5 to get it done, because you can't take a 6-6 team above a 7-5 team or before a 7-5 team. And as we said, there are 10 bowl eligible teams in the Big Ten. It's a crowded landscape.
There is a possibility. I don't think it'll happen, but there's a possibility that there might be 3 bowl eligible teams out of the Big Ten that have to stay home.
Yep. Give it inside. Kinlaw breaks outside. Inside the 40 down to the 37. So make it look like they're going to throw the pass, delay it to Kinlaw, and a gain of 15.
You look at the Capital One Bowl, and personally, this has not all been sorted out, but I think that Illinois has a great shot to go to the Capital One, and then you get the Outback and the Alamo as possibilities. I certainly think that Penn State will fall in one of those 2 games if they're able to win this afternoon.
Perlis, one of the founders of that bowl, and former Michigan State guy. Certainly love to see the Spartans playing that.
We would love it.
They toss it to Kinlaw coming this way. Jumps around 1 inside the 35. So Kinlaw making the first tackler miss, at least. So Darian Adams, a big game last week, a couple of interceptions on the hit.
Hard to believe that Michigan State has never made an appearance in the Motor City Bowl, but then you consider that bowl was brought to life back in 1997, and this Michigan State program hasn't been to a bowl game since 03, the Alamo Bowl.
They haven't been able to finish. You look at their starts, and 7-1 in 03 and down the line, but 1-4, 1-4, and this season losing some tight games. Morelli, quick drop, quick throw through the hands of not 1 but 2 receivers. Terrell Golden was the intended man. And Rob Tabachnik, strong side linebacker who got a start today as a senior here at home in his final regular season game.
It's a great story. Tabachnik playing the vast majority of his career here as a walk-on without a scholarship. Some of the great stories. These seniors, they look back, all the sacrifice, the hard work, just the hours and hours on the practice field.
Most of it is not in front of 75,000 on Saturday afternoon. It's every day on the practice field. 3rd and 6. Draw. Kinlaw fighting his way inside the 30. Appears to have come up short. Needed to get to the 28.
This will be an interesting decision for Joe Paterno. They're in that area where it's going to be a longer attempt for Kevin Kelly. I think that Joe Pa might elect here to go for it on 4th down.
Kinlaw, good day so far. 11 carries for 61 yards, and it brings up 4th and 1. And the offense is out there. So 7 of 9 on the better teams in the Big Ten. Straight ahead, right to the line of scrimmage, and may have gotten it. We'll see. Michigan State defenders saying no. You see the Penn State offensive lineman saying yes. Wait for the spot.
Looked like they got a pretty good spot. This is going to be close. I think he picked it up.
It's right on the virtual line, which is not official, of course.
I think he picked up the first down here, but just barely.
That was a long one, as you see the line of scrimmage and the first down marker. Yeah, by the nose of the football. 1st and 10, Penn State. A reminder, catch the 2007 MLS Cup tomorrow on ABC. New England taking on Houston. Rematch. Will New England avenge last year's defeat, or will Houston defend their title? The Adidas presents MLS Cup 2007 on ABC tomorrow at noon Eastern from RFK in Washington, D.C. New England's third straight championship appearance. 1st and 10, Morelli under center. Gonna throw it, halfback, thrown it to the end zone. No, incomplete. Butler was there. Williams on the toss.
This was a touchdown. Derek Williams wearing the gloves. All he has to do is just make sure of this throw. Played some quarterback in his high school days. Put a little air under the football and you have a touchdown. Wow.
A little bit overthrown and Butler didn't quite time it right. And Morelli can't believe it. 10th play of the drive coming up. 2nd down. Kinlaw busting through the line. Carrying tacklers down to the 15. We'll carry to Matt Weiner in the studio.
All right, Terry, Sports Center in game from Knoxville, where Tennessee has been playing from behind against Vanderbilt. Eric Ainge, 3rd touchdown pass of the day to Austin Rogers, gets them within 2, but they couldn't convert on the 2-pointer, so that remains the margin. And in the 124th edition of the game, Harvard routed Yale. The Crimson take the Ivy League title.
Yeah, the big one. Harvard with a big win, too. 37 points on the board. Kinlaw, you see 74 yards and almost 6 yards per carry so far. Long drive by Penn State. You don't see it very often against Michigan State's defense.
The Nittany Lions have had some problems throughout the season. A lot of teams across college football, as you get into November, face the injury bug, but Joe Paterno has had to do some shuffling along his offensive line, and I think this group is really starting to come of age. And Galen Hall, the offensive coordinator, says this is a line that's a year away from really coming to fruition as a top-shelf group, but they are starting to take control of this football game. They're starting to play the game on the Michigan State side of the line of scrimmage. Kinlaw getting some nice running room up front.
Daryl Clark in at QB. Morelli goes out wide. Clark hit right behind the line of scrimmage. Didn't have a chance. Jonal St. Deke. The guy who's not only recorded 10 sacks this year, but how about the 8 forced fumbles?
And he's had such a terrific season. Baldwin at the other defensive end position has created a lot of problems for offenses. And Joe Paterno, last regular season game, getting Daryl Clark some work. Daryl Clark, very similar to Michael Robinson in his characteristics and attributes. Quarterback that took Penn State to a 1-loss season a couple of years back, 4 seconds away from an undefeated season.
They're going to blow this one dead before it gets going, as Morelli's back in under center. Yep, timeout Michigan State, so they take the timeout with 27 seconds left before the break.
You always run the risk of problems when you bring in a second-string quarterback handling the football and got a good drive going. Sometimes I'm not sure it's the best thing to bring that second stringer in when your offense is showing great rhythm working the ball down the football field.
So for Joe Paterno, a long drive, and we say we don't see that very often against Michigan State. Usually they give you the big play, as we've seen earlier in this one and throughout the season, but consistent drive by Penn State. Defensively, their defense has been solid all year, but right now, Hoyer really struggling for Michigan State with the 2 picks.
Well, he's made some mistakes. He's been so good throughout the season taking care of the football. I think Mark D'Antonio, the head coach for Michigan State, has to be worried about the way that Penn State is starting to control the football on the ground, and that creates a lot of space for an Anthony Morelli in the pass game. Too many athletes outside. You really want to make this Penn State offense one-dimensional if you can.
Big 3rd down coming up for Penn State right now. 3rd and 10. 12 plays on this drive and 49 yards, almost 5.5 minutes off the clock. Morelli setting up the screen. Kinlaw's got room to run. Inside the 10, still up. Finally down inside the 5. 1st and goal, Nittany Lions. So Rodney Kinlaw through the air, bringing it down inside the 5. 18 seconds until halftime.
Anthony Morelli really set this screen pass up well. Play action, draws the pass rush. A couple defensive ends in Baldwin and St. Deke that were overzealous. It did not account for Kinlaw. Kinlaw, Terry, did a nice job of finishing off that run, picking up the first down.
And being patient in doing so. You mentioned how he's turned into that type of back.
Joe Paterno has made a point this week to talk about Rodney Kinlaw and his patience. I think you got to give a lot of credit to this offensive line for the Nittany Lions. Now they're working against numbers. Michigan State always keeping two safeties up near the line of scrimmage, outnumbering your offense at the point of attack. But Penn State, very physical up front, Terry, and Kinlaw making that unblocked safety miss quite a few times here in the first half.
Well, Joe Paterno, Galen Hall giving you some different looks on offense, too. Bringing in Darrell Clark, the junior from Youngstown, Ohio. With Morelli out wide, some reverses. You saw Derek Williams throw the pass, nearly a touchdown pass to Deion Butler on this drive. First and goal from inside the 5. Morelli, play action, looks to the corner to throw this one away.
Well, that's a smart play and good use of the clock. You have a first down. You have enough time for 4 plays. And that 4th play might end up being a field goal try. But if you get that ball up, you still have 12 seconds on the clock. And you could conceivably try a run here because you do have that timeout left. I don't like it here, though. I like a pass play here on 2nd down.
Hold it in motion. Kinlaw the back. Here he is. Touchdown. Open hole straight to the end zone. So they do keep it on the ground. And a lane that Kinlaw or anyone could have run through.
You could use that run on 2nd or 3rd down with the timeout remaining. And it was... this offensive front made it look easy. Kinlaw walked in.
9th touchdown run this year for Rodney Kinlaw. Extra point. Kevin Kelly up and good. So Kinlaw, who's had over 1,000 yards, as we mentioned, and 4 100-yard games coming into this game.
Michigan State with the prospect of a pass in the backs of their minds. Galen Hall, with that timeout in his pocket, takes advantage. And Kinlaw, you can see, has great vision. Such a long line of quality backs at Penn State. And that was just pure Nittany Lion football there, lining up. Helmet on helmet and getting it done.
Hey, 15 plays, 5.5 minutes off the clock, and Janine Kinlaw did much of it.
He did, and you guys were talking earlier about how he has really stepped his game up this season. He's been working with a clinical psychologist who has taught him relaxation techniques. He does visualization, relaxation. Dr. Ernest Blackshear actually texts him before games and says, "Are you relaxed?" And David, I'm sure as you know, anxiety can be the disruptor of performance, as Dr. Blackshear says.
Now, why would you direct that towards my partner?
Because she knows you give me a lot of anxiety, Terry. And I need to learn some of those relaxation techniques.
Yeah, sure. Hoyer, a couple interceptions thrown in the first half. Joe Paterno going to hustle to the locker room, and his team up 17-7 here on the road in East Lansing over Michigan State as we send it back to the studio. And this rivalry in the Big Ten taking place here in East Lansing. Final regular season game of the year for Penn State and for Michigan State. 17-7 your halftime score as we roll on here. ESPN College Football on ABC presented by Best Buy. Terry Gannon back with David Norrie, Janine Edwards down on the field. Penn State doing what you're really not supposed to be able to do against the Michigan State defense, put together a long drive to close out that first half.
The Michigan State likes to use the safeties up near the line of scrimmage. They like to put 8, 9 men in the box, and unless they can come up with another player, I don't think they have any extra defenders to devote against the run. Really has to be disturbing for Mark D'Antonio to know that Penn State is able to just control the ball on the ground. They got to get that turned around in the second half.
And on the other side of the field, you've got Brian Hoyer, who started sharp the first couple of drives. Last 5 drives, though, just 3 of 6, and the 2 interceptions leading to points on the board for Penn State.
I think they have to get back to what they do best, continue to hammer away with the run game, and then use play-action passing off that. I think they've gotten in trouble when they've dropped him back without the play-action fakes.
Janine Edwards down on the field, hanging around, trying to find out what she can from the coaches at the break. Janine, what do you know?
Well, Terry, I spoke to Penn State coach Joe Paterno going out at halftime, and he told me that Michigan State caught onto their passing game early. They tried to go over the top, and he said, so we went to our running game. He said, but that's not going to work forever. He said the defense is playing a lot fresher this week. That's due in part to the fact that he went very easy on them in practice. So he's happy about the 2 interceptions they've gotten, but he says we have to get more pressure on Michigan State's quarterback. As for Mark D'Antonio, Michigan State coach, he's not happy with how his team is playing. He said we are beating ourselves right now with the penalties, the interceptions. He said this is their last half playing football here at Spartan Stadium.
Yeah, Hoyer just 6 of 10 with the 1 touchdown, but the 2 interceptions, and certainly nothing like what he did last week against Purdue. And on the other side, Joe Paterno certainly conscious of the fact that they go 12 straight weeks, 12 straight games, and you got to take off a little bit of practice time, or at least work them not quite as hard as you normally would. And State opening up the second half. A.J. Wallace bringing it out across the 25 to the 27, and we look at the Pacific Life game summary, David.
Brian Hoyer, as you mentioned, got off to a hot start, but then had a couple throws get away from him. Actually, the first ball was one that sailed on him, and then a terrific play by Sean Lee dropping out underneath the curl route. That long 15-play drive, Kinlaw was able to finally cash in, but that was an impressive drive where the Nittany Lions got most of the work done on the ground.
Rodney Kinlaw going to keep it on the ground on first down here in the second half across the 30 to the 32. 80 yards on the ground by Kinlaw in the first half, and a gain of 5 opening up the second.
80 yards for Kinlaw on the ground. The tidy 15 rushes, and Ringer and Colcrick not having quite as much success. They look back over the course of the first 11 games for the Spartans. Ohio State really the only team to shut down Michigan State. Michigan was able to have some success in the first half, and then the Spartans really moved the ball well on the ground in the second half against the Wolverines.
Morelli gives it to Kinlaw on second down to the 36. Yeah, in terms of a duo in the backfield, Ringer with over 1,300 yards now this year, and Colcrick over 700 yards, one of the better tandems in the Big Ten, if not all of college football.
When you look at the teams that have controlled the Big Ten, that have won the conference championships, made appearances in the national title game, the Rose Bowl, there's a common thread. And that is being able to run the football and having a very competitive top-shelf defense.
Morelli's going to keep it and appears to have the first down for Penn State. Joe Paterno in his 42nd year, looking for his 27th 9-win season. And then you look at a bowl game, a chance to win 10 games again.
And I thought it was really interesting talking to him yesterday. He said, we asked him about the BCS versus a playoff discussion, and he said, hey, I've been a playoff supporter since the late 60s. And, if you think about it, there's one coach out there that really would want a playoff. 5 times his teams have gone undefeated and not won national titles.
Derek Williams in motion. Morelli play action. Going long, got a man. Butler out there at the 20, and the flag as the ball bounces loose. Butler with Kendall Davis-Clark, who is saying, no, I didn't touch him.
And this ball was underthrown a bit. If Morelli gets this up earlier, I think he has his receiver in stride.
Now walking back this way.
Pass interference. Defense, number 38. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Yep. Davis-Clark with the contact.
And Butler had to slow down a couple strides. This ball was actually pretty well underthrown. Interesting call there.
You don't think it was?
He got into him. I think he got into him early, but that was not a great throw by Anthony Morelli.
Underthrown, but certainly contact. And this one coming back for it at the 37. That's complete. Chris Bell with the diving catch, his second of the game.
We're taking one last shot here.
And get the hands underneath.
That's a clean catch. Bell having a nice football game here.
Wow. That's good coverage, too. Weaver was right there, and somehow the ball got through.
Morelli's capable of fitting the ball into tight spaces. He gets into trouble from time to time with bad decisions. He's been known to put the ball on the ground. Pretty solid ball to the perimeter.
Second and short. Kinlaw's got the first down and more. Inside the 25, Rodney Kinlaw got a block to Springham, did the work the rest of the way, a gain of 12.
Galen Hall, the offensive coordinator for Penn State, is going to continue to test the Spartans on the ground until they prove that they can stop this run game. And for Michigan State, not much left to go to. Playing those safeties up tighter and tighter as this game goes on, but at some point you got to stiffen against the run, or Penn State's going to salt this game away on you.
And that offensive line taking control for Penn State. It's improved throughout the year. They'll be great next year. Morelli throws wide open. It's Golden inside the 10. Terrell Golden, the senior from Norfolk, Virginia, his third catch today. Morelli is just on fire right now.
Yeah, this is a 5 wide receiver rotation, and Terry, I agree with you. The offensive line is really establishing control of this football game for Penn State, giving Morelli comfortable time in the pocket. 5 different receivers to choose from. Golden, the bigger wide out with some size, and Morelli, a big target.
Out of the eye now with Lawler and Kinlaw. Not much going on. Gain of 1, maybe 2. Evan Royster did play early in the first half. Hobbled off with, he had an ankle injury coming into the game. We haven't seen him since. It's been all Kinlaw.
It's been a defensive front that at times has been pretty darn good against the run. And we got a couple of young freshmen playing at linebackers. Serdarian Adams and Caleb Thornhill are the vets. But Pat Narduzzi, all he can do is tell his defenders that they've got to play tougher and more physical up front.
That front row, right side of your screen there, came over from Cincinnati with Antonio. Kinlaw, patient, waits for a hole to open up, and gets down to the 5.
It's interesting. Mark D'Antonio was a defensive coordinator for Jim Tressel, 2002 Ohio State national title team, and that was a defense where you didn't have to take risks, where you didn't have to lock up on the corners. You could control the game with a big, talented defensive front four. But Michigan State right now, not with the personnel to just play it straight and play it conservative. They've got to bring pressure, and they've got to bring those safeties up near the line of scrimmage to outnumber you.
239 yards given up. Kinlaw's over 100 yards rushing from the gun now. Throwing behind the intended receiver. Morelli had a man out there and just threw it behind Derek Williams.
Derek Williams was there for a good 3 or 4 strides. I mean, this is a touchdown if Anthony Morelli can just find Derek Williams. Why don't we go ahead and freeze it right here? Look at all that area out here. I mean, he is wide open, and Morelli's looking to the center of the field. Comes to Derek Williams after Williams runs out of real estate.
And he was looking back towards the center of the field, center of the end zone. So this a try from 22 yards from Kevin Kelly. High snap right to Kelly. He's going to try to run it in. He does. Touchdown Penn State. Joe gives you a little more now. So Kelly able to take the snap and run it for 6. How do you like that?
Joe Paterno pulling out some stops. Perfect snap. And Kelly showing us a little burst. And he cut it up in there pretty quickly.
And now more work to do for Kelly. On for the extra point. It's up and it is good. Penn State taking control midway through the first half and now adding on early in the second. Little trick play for 6. Not bad for a kicker, huh? On with that Detroit theme, little Kid Rock for you here in the Michigan area. Jeremy Boone, one of the guys who sold that well as the holder.
Yeah, they gave you a look of a high snap. Boone selling it well and getting a block.
Short kick, Michigan State with some work to do now. At the 23. Coming back is Devin Thomas, and they'll start at about the 26. Go back to that touchdown, though.
Yeah, watch the holder here, Jeremy Boone. He's not only going to sell the high snap, but he's going to get outside and get a nice block on Davis Clark. They give you the look of the high snap. Kevin Kelly cuts it up inside.
Yeah, you got to like the hands up in the air, too. He was selling it, baby.
They're at the top of the screen. Gets into his legs and can't execute a specialty play much better than that.
So 24-7, and now Ryan Hoyer's got to turn things on for the Spartans here in the second half. They'll keep it on the ground. Up to 29 goes Javon Ringer. Sean Lee on the stop. The Penn State defense doing work. A couple of interceptions already today, setting up points.
Spartans are not built for comebacks. You know, they're a power running team that likes to work the pass in off their run game. Hoyer's going to have to drop back some here in the second half. He's not going to have the luxury of just play actioning off these two talented backs.
Out of the eye, straight drop. Hoyer with time. Complete out at midfield. Got his tight end, Kellen Davis, into Penn State territory. Wrapped up at the 43 as we send it to Matt Weiner.
All right, Terry, our nominee for the Pontiac game-changing performance comes from Georgia. Kentucky up 10-7 between the hedges when Keelan Johnson blocked the punt. 6 plays later, the Georgia took the lead for good. Thomas Brown's touchdown run. Check out this season's best Pontiac game-changing performances at ESPN.com. Search Pontiac.
All right, Matt, Georgia playing maybe as good as anybody, as well as anyone right now, and that's a big test against Kentucky.
Awfully impressive last week against Auburn.
Quick throw. Complete run down at the 36 is Terry Love. Senior from Bellwood, Illinois. We check out our ESPNU All-State Standings Review, the BCS standings with LSU on top.
And Oregon gets knocked out. They're going to move down, and 3 Big 12 teams in the top 5, including a Kansas and Missouri. I think many prognosticators had that scenario on their radar screen preseason.
Oh, you don't think? With Kansas?
No.
West Virginia, though, still a great shot. Big game against Cincinnati. This one taken down to the 25. J.U. Coldcrick took about 3 guys with him. A big back power.
Coldcrick exemplifies power running. A real throwback to some of the great teams that Michigan State has lined up over the years. That 66 team. That is just Big Ten run game football, lowering the pad level and taking a couple defenders for the ride.
They win big, they lose tight. Losses haven't come by many points. They run the reverse this time, and they're going to throw over the middle of the field down to the 1. Kellen Davis with the catch. Ryan Allison, the man who threw it.
Watch the block that Hoyer gets in the backfield. Frees up Allison. Not a bad ball there. It looked like Justin King had an opportunity. The ball was thrown behind him. And that is just a heck of a catch.
Yeah, he came back for that thing and picked it right off the turf.
And that was Tony Davis, the safety, who got beat on the throw.
Timeout, Penn State. So Joe Paterno takes the timeout with 8:12 left in the third, and we'll take it as well. Michigan State knocking on the door, trying to come back.
Pontiac, the official performance machines of the NCAA. DLP HD TV. DLP is the official ESPN on ABC HD telecast sponsor of college football. And Allstate, proud sponsors of college football. Are you in good hands?
Three plays of over 20 yards today for Michigan State, and all of them have gone to Kellen Davis. And that was a heck of a catch to set up.
Showing the strong hands. I mean, he made a great catch last week against Purdue in the first half. Back of the end zone for a touchdown.
Stacked eye. Kotrick looking for room outside. Wrapped up. Carries a couple down to the 3. That's it, though. Anthony Scarano, the first man to meet him. So it's second and goal.
Taking a look again, they're going to come in motion. It's going to be the double reverse, and watch Kellen Davis just sneak down the field. Allison on the dead run. You like to have a lefty moving to his left, and then the strength in the hands by Davis, just taking the football away from a safety who was converging.
Catches 83 yards for Davis today. Hoyer wants to throw. Looks for a man out of the backfield. Touchdown. Jeff McPherson, the backup fullback, with the touchdown catch. And it's exactly what Michigan State needed to get some points on the board coming back quickly.
They absolutely had to have it. They had to have that drive. 24-7, Penn State just working the clock with the run game, and a very impressive drive by the offensive line, giving Hoyer time, and Hoyer looks like he's back in rhythm.
Brett Swenson on for the extra point. Up and good. So Hoyer back in rhythm, even though the big play on the drive came from Allison to Davis. But this, the 3-yard touchdown pass, Jeff McPherson. Hoyer does have some momentum. Big Ten action today, of course, the big one down the road in Ann Arbor. Ohio State with the win over Michigan to go to the Rose Bowl. But other important games here, including the Illinois over Northwestern win and Western Michigan ahead of Iowa. How about Indiana leading Purdue?
Yeah, the Hoosiers. That would be a big win. And then we just got word that Indiana has tacked on a touchdown, 24-3.
Remember how crowded it is with the 6-win teams, and Michigan State, one of them, tried to get to 7-5 to secure a bowl spot. 6-6, not going to do it. A.J. Wallace inside his own 5, cuts back, has some room, far sideline. Got the one man to beat who runs him out of bounds, had the angle, cross midfield goal. It was the kicker, Todd Bolesky. Return of 51 yards.
Bolesky made a nice play, just retreating. Keep an eye. Let's go ahead and freeze it right here. Now you got to make sure that you use the sideline as your friend here and just squeeze Wallace, retreating. It's a nice play by Bolesky to not give up the home run, and a pretty impressive return by A.J. Wallace.
Now, Wallace had that 97-yard return against the Buckeyes earlier this year. Gives him great field position now at the 43 of Michigan State. The give to Kinlaw to the 40. That's it. And remember, again, just to revisit what we were saying, in terms of the bowl picture, I mean, Penn State's obviously at a bowl. They're hoping for a New Year's Day bowl, and that may be realistic with the loss that Michigan suffered in Ann Arbor today. They're 8-4. Penn State would move to 9-3. But down near the bottom with Michigan State, 6-win teams: Northwestern, Indiana, Michigan State. The Indiana losing, that's big.
Well, if Indiana can continue to lead in that ball game, 7-5 would be the record.
Right. Michigan State hoping for a loss there. So that's those are the teams that are trying to separate. Kinlaw to the 35, a couple of yards shy of a first down as they keep it on the ground.
Oh, and it just has to
just number 43.
make Mark D'Antonio wince. That kickoff return. Now you cut the lead to 10 points. You have some momentum, and then you give Wallace that big return. Penn State takes over with a short field. It really opens up the playbook for Anthony Morelli.
3rd and 2, the crowd sensing a big third down play coming up. And the players on the sideline trying to get the crowd back into this one. Play clock down to 5. Morelli. Kinlaw stacked up, not going to get it. Big play defensively. Justin Kershaw was in there, along with Greg Jones.
Kershaw getting nice penetration, and I believe Penn State was really in 4-down territory here if they can pick up positive yards. Now look at Kershaw close things down from that left interior defensive line position. Negative yards. Not much of a decision here for Joe Paterno. You got to punt it away.
Terry Love back at his own 10. Doing the punter. Love watches this one sail out. See where they mark it. Man's going to be up at the 14-yard line. So a punt of 27 yards. Reminder, Monday Night Football on ESPN continues this week from Invesco Field. Vince Young leading the Titans against Jay Cutler and the Broncos. Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern, kicking off at 7 Eastern. Monday Night Countdown as we send it down to Janine.
Well, Terry, as the offense takes the field for Michigan State, I can tell you that this Michigan State sideline has been a lot more animated and vocal since they came back from the half. The seniors, especially on offense, have been really revving up the crowd and revving up the defense, and now they take the field themselves.
Pumped up after that last drive for a touchdown as well. Ringer fights through a couple of tackles and gets up to the 14. They do have a little bounce in their step after the last drive. Big throw from Hoyer to Davis, and then from Allison to Davis to set up the touchdown.
Nothing like a 74-yard drive, a march down the football field to cut the lead to 10, and that has kept things in touch for Michigan State, and that sideline, as Janine said, has come alive.
And maybe they do bite on the play action a little bit more than they would have. You just mentioned these might have to go to the drop back more. They were down 24-7 on the run this time, on the roll. Throws it out, complete at the 22, complete to Mark Dell, his first catch.
Nice play by Hoyer with Lee in his face. Going back to that last drive, double reverse pass, Allison delivering the ball on the line. That is a big-time play by a tight end. Davis making the catch, and looked like a second or third choice outside on the touchdown throw by Hoyer. Pretty impressive. Pulling in the reins, and see his work here in the second half. 4 for 4. Spotless.
After a solid start to the game, didn't finish very well in the first half. Perfect in the second, still perfect, thrown a little bit behind Evan Thomas, but he stayed there with it. 4th catch for Thomas.
I think Hoyer is one of the up-and-coming quarterbacks in the Big Ten Conference. He really displayed a lot of upside last week in that performance at West Lafayette, a win Michigan State had to have. Look at the feet in the pocket, sliding to his left. Threw the ball behind his intended receiver there. But I'll tell you what, he's delivering the ball on time with accuracy, and a pretty nice catch by Devin Thomas.
Gain of 20, they'll keep it on the ground across midfield near another first down for Culprick. So you mix it up, and that's been the balance that Michigan State has shown this year.
Yeah, and balance, people talk about having balance on offense. You got a 1,000-yard rusher in Ringer. You have a 1,000-yard receiver in Devin Thomas, 2,000-yard passer, but I think it has a lot to do with, can you go to the pass or the run when the defense is taking away one of the aspects of your game? You don't want to end a game with equal yards in the pass and the run departments. As we look at Hoyer, Ringer, and Thomas and their impressive seasons, I think it's the ability to go to either the run or the pass that gives you balance.
Culprick, who ran over Dane Connor on the last carry, now runs through people. They'll move the chains again. 255 pounds. It is hard to bring him down. A gain of 14.
Playing in his last game here in East Lansing. We sat down with him yesterday. His eyes lit up. The prospects of going and playing in a bowl game for the first time in his career. And he's just wanting it more than some of the defenders on the football field there as he carries the defenders forward for the first down. What a run.
Hey, he ran right over Connor on the previous one, ran over Justin King on that carry. Ringer, somebody had him by the foot right at the line of scrimmage, falls ahead for one. Ali Agbu wrapped him up, the redshirt freshman from Staten Island.
This Nittany Lion defense, just like their jerseys, just like their helmets, not very flashy, but just rock solid throughout the season. They come into this football game, the number 7 defense in the country. That front four counted upon to hold things down against the run for Tom Bradley, and expect that front four to create most of the pass rush as well in this scheme.
And they're all back except for Connor, basically. A lot of underclassmen there. To the end zone, wide open. Devin Thomas. How easy was that? 33 yards. Like they're playing catch in the park. .188 all-purpose yards for Thomas. Already broke the single-season mark for receptions earlier today. Swenson for the extra point. To within 3. Michigan State comes storming back. Devin Thomas doing it all for Michigan State. 7 plays, 91 yards, a little more than 2.5 minutes off the clock on the drive.
Well, Hoyer knows he's going to get hit late here. That looked like Ali Agbu coming free. But A.J. Wallace getting the start for Lydell Sargent. You can't allow Devin Thomas, a guy coming into the game with 68 receptions, to get behind you that easily. And Hoyer is having himself a second half. Just electric.
Seemed like just a moment ago it was 24-7. Only a few moments ago. Got a ball game here in East Lansing.
Hoyer has made some nice throws here in the second half. Some throws down the field, attacking this football field vertically. Really showing me a lot of talent in the way he can change speeds and trajectories with the football.
A.J. Wallace, Derek Williams back deep. He had a couple of good returns. This Derek Williams. That hole closes quickly out at the 27. Hoyer red hot in the second half so far.
Look at Anthony Morelli. Penn State featured him early in this football game, but they've had so much success on the ground. And then you look at Hoyer, 12 of 16, 177 yards, and he has really started to find his rhythm and his confidence here in the second half. You get the feel that this Michigan State offense now is throwing caution to the wind with their play call.
Morelli's time to go back to work. Throws it up, a little too high, incomplete. The intended Jordan Norwood near sideline. The biggest music stars on the planet come together. Live performances by Rascal Flatts, Maroon 5, Lenny Kravitz, Fergie, Rihanna, and more for the first time ever. Your votes, David Noy, your votes will decide who wins. American Music Awards tomorrow night, ABC.
We're going to have Fergie, huh?
Yeah.
The Duchess.
Well, not official, not that one, but yes. They're hopping here in East Lansing, trying to stay warm and pumped up about what their team has done in the second half. Kinlaw, they stop him cold again after a gain of 1. O.G. Nwabo on the hit. Man from San Diego.
3-point game. Penn State not going to have the luxury of being run heavy in their play calling. Anthony Morelli, now you have to start taking some risks in the passing game, especially in your own end of the field. lightning quick points for Michigan State.
Morelli out of the gun, on the roll, under pressure, broken up at the 35. Great play, Rob Tabachnik.
Tabachnik had to lay out to make this play. This is a tremendous effort. A senior. Last time he'll see the turf here at Michigan State. That is a tremendous effort. J.U. Colcrick. See his response. Fired up.
Fourth down on the punt. Is Boone off the side of his foot. This one's not good. Well, dancing backwards. So he lost a few yards, and Penn State fortunate. A punt of 33 yards, and they lost 3 on the return. Janine, what do you have?
Well, Terry, as you and David both mentioned, Michigan State seems to have a little more of a bounce in their step the last few minutes. And in stark contrast to their sideline, which is very animated, very vocal, the Penn State side has gotten very quiet, very somber. In the faces of some of the players, I see a little bit of surprise and a little bit of worry. They are thinking now that Michigan State is coming back with a vengeance.
It has had, in the last 6-7 minutes, an atmosphere that you would think would be the last 5 minutes of a game. It's the third quarter here. Hoyer lost it. Penn State has it. How quickly things turn around. Tyrell Sales fell right on top of it. And now it's a stunned Michigan State crowd.
It looks like this is Joel Nitschmann. And Getve was pulling on the play. The snap didn't come up clean, but it didn't help that Getve was pulling. And the ball was forced loose. I think Getve got a piece of it. 12th game of the season, Terry. You'd think that you would have that quarterback center exchange down. And Nitschmann getting in the lineup.
2 interceptions and now the fumble, the 3 turnovers for Michigan State. Pump fake, making up the far sideline. Norwood, the intended, well covered though. Sonic upcoming rivalry games next Saturday. Georgia Tech, always a good one. And Texas A&M, Clemson, South Carolina next Saturday. That's at 7 Eastern on ESPN2.
I know this is rivalry week, but there's still some rivalries left for next week. And even the December 1st Saturday, 2 weeks down the line, plenty of rivalries down the stretch.
4 straight incompletions for Morelli. Gets it off to Kinlaw. Down to the 32 where he's wrapped up.
Very tough for Michigan State on that turnover. Joel Nitschmann has had to fill in. John Masters has been banged up. In fact, both centers have been banged up.
There's Caleb Thornhill on the stop. A 3-year starter who started 33 games. His brother played here. He's a great player. His dad, who's passed away, played here at Michigan State. This is his final game in East Lansing. Penn State 4 of 13 on 3rd down. 20 seconds and counting here in the 3rd. Morelli with time. Slices it through. First down, Penn State. Down to the 16 goes Mickey Schuler. So Morelli with the rifle arm, gain of 16.
Dad has to be proud. Mickey Schuler, father, playing with the Jets back in the 80s. Nice little drag route, finding an opening in that zone defense. Morelli delivering the ball on time.
So Penn State comes out strong to open up the second. Michigan State comes storming back to score a couple impressive drives for the Spartans, but they cough it up on the fumble, and now Penn State knocking on the door. Plenty of action here in the second half, and we got a 4th quarter to go. Back with that after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Night here in East Lansing, Silver Bells Parade. You lit the Christmas tree, didn't you? Were you the Grand Marshal?
I was in bed before 9. You know me, Terry.
studying in your room
Game
for
night.
today's game? Fireworks?
I take football very seriously.
You can see that. Here we open up the fourth. Terry Gannon, David Norrie, and Janine Edwards. Penn State, Kinlaw, flag on the play as he gets to the end zone. And they bring this one back.
This might be a hold on Dennis Landolt, the right tackle.
And a man down for Michigan State.
During the play, holding, 73 offense. 10 yards, previous spot, replay, first down.
Landolt with the hold, so they'll bring that back. We open up the fourth quarter. Michigan State coming back in the third.
Keep an eye on Dennis Landolt right here. He's going to just work out on the edge. Going to take Jonal St. Deek to the turf. The proverbial takedown. And the Nittany Lions have to take 6 points off the scoreboard.
Eric Gordon was the man shaken up. Redshirt freshman from Traverse City, Michigan, and having a heck of a year. And good to see him walk off intact. So Joe Paterno's squad with that 24-7 lead after the opening drive of the second half.
A nice look there at Mike McQuarrie, the former Penn State quarterback and wide receivers coach. He also holds the title of recruiting coordinator.
Penalty makes it 1st and 20. Morelli straight drop out of the backfield. Kinlaw read perfectly. At the 30, no chance whatsoever. Caleb Thornhill all over him.
Caleb Thornhill, this is a terrific job of diagnosing on the screen pass, recognition. He's seen that look in practice this week. Working against the offensive scout team, you hold the cards up. Scout team offense tries to give you those looks, and it sure looked to me, Terry, like Thornhill had seen that a couple times throughout the week.
Also 4 on the play, so it's 2nd and 24 now. Morelli trying to get outside, gets it away, almost completed it. How did he get it off? We send it down to Janine.
Well, Terry, for those Michigan State fans who may be watching and know that Caleb Thornhill, for the last 3 years of his career, has been number 43, they're probably noticing this year he's number 41. His father died back on December 21st, and his father played here at Michigan State, as we mentioned at the top of the show. His father was number 41, and Caleb decided for his senior season here at Michigan State, he wanted to be number 41 as he plays his last game as a Spartan.
In fact, Thornhill's mom lives in the area, and Pete Clifford, the offensive lineman whose brother was with the Army over in Iraq and was injured, came back, and Clifford's mom said, you know what, life's too short. She's a nurse, she got medical leave, she went here to East Lansing and has been staying with Thornhill's mom as she's watched her son Pete play here in East Lansing this year. That one all the way down to the 5. Derek Williams on the catch, his second.
Now this is a huge, huge play between Morelli and Derek Williams. Derek Williams working out of the slot. And hard to believe, just his first 100-yard game at Penn State as a pass receiver last week against Temple. Starting to learn some of the finer aspects of playing receiver, some of the blocking, setting up his routes. That was a huge pickup for a first down on a 3rd and 24.
Yeah, big play. 1st and goal from the 6. Kinlaw looking for room to the 4. Thornhill stopped them there along with Travis Key. What about our Pacific Life game summary?
Well, let's take a look. 300 yards of total offense for the Spartans. A lot of those coming on the last 2 drives. 3 turnovers by the Spartans have been cashed in for 10 points.
Did you make that up? 100, 200, 300?
I just like nice round numbers.
I guess. Round it up. Kinlaw rounded off into the end zone. Touchdown, Penn State. 4-yard run. Shipley sprung him with the block, and Kinlaw putting 6 on the board. And how big have the turnovers been today for Michigan State?
Quarterback center exchange between Nitchman and Hoyer. Penn State turns it into a quick 7 points. The 3rd and 24 was huge. Just a great ball from Anthony Morelli. Had time, delivered it to Derek Williams, and just like that, momentum gets turned around.
Evan Kelly's got a touchdown of his own. On for the extra point. Nice snap. Nice job by Boone getting it down. And the silencer from Rodney Kinlaw, the touchdown, and it is very quiet here in East Lansing. Full day's work for Rodney Kinlaw. 27 carries, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns. A lot of football left to be played here in East Lansing today, though. This is the short kick to the 30, and good field position again. Cross midfield. Andrew Hawken, the fullback, bringing it back as we send it to John Saunders in the studio. John?
Well, Terry, it's the Sports Center Minute powered by Vizio. Ohio State's Beanie Wells with a big day, over 200 yards, 62 on this touchdown run as Ohio State clinches a berth in the Rose Bowl. Michigan has also announced a 10 a.m. press conference on Monday morning. Lloyd Carr expected to retire. Vanderbilt kicker Bryant Honfeld had a chance to win the game against Tennessee, but he doinks it off the upright from 49 yards, so Tennessee holds on to win, still with a shot to go to the SEC championship game with a win next week.
John, what a heartbreaker, too. We had Vandy in Georgia earlier this year. Georgia beat them on a last-second field goal. Vandy here with this one trying to become bowl eligible, and that is a tough way to lose. Hawken, first catch, 9 yards on the play. So 10-point deficit for Michigan State. But, David, we've seen them score points in a hurry.
A couple nice plays by Hawken gets Michigan State onto a short field. That's a play on the kickoff, and then a pretty nice return up the sideline. Hoyer then finds him out in the flat.
How big has that been, too, for Penn State, who struggled under kick coverage, so they're kicking it short, thinking there won't be a return, maybe a fair catch or something, but giving up good field position, good returns today. Ringer, and a reminder, Rivalry Week presented by Remington continues. This is a good one. West Virginia and Cincinnati, 7:45 Eastern Time, and then Oklahoma shot to win the national title, and they're taking on Texas Tech. 8 East. Big East this year, including UConn. They had the dream season going. They get 2 losses overall now, though.
Some surprise teams, Connecticut and Cincinnati, getting high into the rankings. Of course, the way that Cincinnati took care of Connecticut a couple weeks ago. Pretty impressive.
Colquitt out of the eye, inside the 30. First down at the 26. A gain of 5 for J.U. Colquitt. Got to be tired if you're Sean Lee and Dan Connor and the guys are trying to bring down that man.
I talked to Tom Bradley, the defensive coordinator for the Nittany Lions. He says, hey, we ride with those 2 linebackers. And he makes the point, Terry, that Sean Lee, Dan Connor, he could call a game out at the park at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday, and they'd be out there and strap it on, be ready to go. They love playing the game of football.
Play action, Hoyer looking to the end zone. What a catch for a touchdown, Devin Thomas. Hoyer threw it where only he could get to it, and Thomas hauled it in, 26 yards.
This is a corner route. And it looks like Scarrato over the top. I thought with the naked eye that maybe Hoyer had overthrown that ball, but what a play by Thomas to go and get it.
Swenson on for the extra point. This one might go back and forth for some time here. 11:04 left in the 4th. Up and good. And back to a 3-point game. Watch this as we send you to break.
Great route by Thomas to the corner. Ball is on the money. Man, Spartans are back in it.
This presentation of college football brought to you by Best Buy. This holiday will help you put together perfect gifts. The Ford F-150, built Ford tough. And Clean Exchange, a disposable head electric shaver, new from Remington.
Oh, you were in the snowman suit. That's where you were, Nori, last night. That's right. With the grand marshal of that thing. The holiday season. 3-point lead for Penn State. Wallace and Williams back deep.
This is a great campus, by the way. And you talk about a festive feel, and this is what a campus should feel like in the Big Ten.
This is what Big Ten weather should be like. Mid-30s and dropping. Snow flurries earlier today. This one taken up at the 25. To about the 35. Jed Hill bringing that back for Penn State as we look at the Best Buy playbook.
Well, they call it a post corner because the wide receiver wants to set up a move to the center of the field. Let's go ahead and freeze it right here. And as a wide receiver, you want to make sure that you make the move to the center of the field, set up Scarrato, the safety, and then break it back off towards the sideline. That's a great route. And Hoyer puts the ball on him in a hurry. Devin Thomas just went up and gobbled that one up.
Penn State taking over 1st and 10. Morelli wants it all. Play action down the field. Butler almost got there. How about this for efficiency if you're Devin Thomas? 6 catches for 117 yards and 3 touchdowns.
He broke Charles Rogers' record. 68 receptions on the season. They were tied coming into the game. All-purpose yardage record went down last week. Lorenzo White owned that. Thomas is starting to make his way onto the radar screen at the next level. Great size, 220 pounds. Looks like a running back.
Morelli lost it, but here come the flags. Procedure.
False start. Offense. 5 yards. The down remains second.
Going back to the last drive, Penn State opened up a 10-point lead off the turnover. Big 3rd and 24 completion to Derek Williams. And then Kinlaw continuing to have success. The offensive line surrounding Kinlaw, and then the celebration ensues.
2nd and 15 after the penalty. Quick throw out. Read perfectly at the 20. Absolutely no chance. Sir Darian Adams was there in a hurry.
This defense is playing with some great emotion. Adams coming off a big game last week. 2 interceptions in the first half against Purdue. A couple plays I really thought changed the momentum in that game. A must-win game up at West Lafayette. Big play behind the line of scrimmage on that 2nd down play here against Penn State.
Now remember the big 3rd down play they gave up on the last drive to get it down inside the 5. And it led to the Penn State touchdown. 3rd and 22 for the Nittany Lions. Tipped, almost intercepted. It brings up 4th. Otis Wiley's been very close to picking off a number of passes, at least 3 of them today.
Well, and Morelli was trying to hit the seam route down the center of the field. 2 deep safeties, each safety with half of the field responsibility deep. Morelli trying to exploit that chasm down the center of the field, and Wiley got great depth laid out to make the deflection.
Terry Love back at his own 40. There's the big punt. Love backing up inside the 25, dropped at the 20. Jeremy Boone boomed one. A.J. Wallace got to Love right away. 52-yard punt. Otis Wiley, pretty good gospel singer, too. I know that's Aretha, but it could have been Otis Wiley, who they tell us is the best gospel singer on campus. this.
Otis can't do it like the Queen of Soul.
No chance for us yesterday at practice, but they say he can belt it out. Ringer on first down.
He may be good. He may be good, but he can't be that good.
No? Yeah, Aretha's tough to beat. On Ringer coming off, Colquitt coming on second down, putting up second and a short 5.
Those 5-6 yard gains on first down are so critical for this offense because of their ability to fake 2 tight end sets.
Hoyer. Colquitt, nowhere to go. Stacked up right there. Brings up third down, time permitting after the game. Keep it right here. We'll have the Dell post-game report for you. Well, Michigan State, you look at, great success that first year for John L. Smith. They're 8-5 overall. And now Antonio comes in and right now trying to stay above 500, finish at 7-5. But finish is the operative word here. They haven't been able to do that in recent years.
I think that's been the change. If you look for one impressive change overall for Mark D'Antonio's team, they go up and they win last week. They trail in this game 24-3. Close it to a 3-point gap. Says a lot about a first-year program.
3rd and 5. Hoyer hit as he throws, and it brings up 4th down. So the Penn State defense with a stop. Ali Agbu pressuring Brian Hoyer.
I wasn't real excited about Don Treadwell's second down call there. You know, you get 5 or 6 yards on first down. You're trailing in this game. You only have about 9 minutes left at the time of the call. I think you keep in rhythm, you keep on time, and you use play action there. And put his team in an interesting situation there on third down. I didn't like the call.
Flip side of that is when you've given up points today, as they fake it and have a chance for the first down, they got it. Colquitt out at the 40. He fooled everyone and broke a tackle in doing it. A gain of 17.
Really had no running room and had to bounce it. Joe Paterno understandably concerned, and what a play by Colquitt.
And you're right, I mentioned they fooled people. They didn't initially. He was sealed up. Colquitt just broke the tackle. Hoyer once. The pass over the middle. Davis another big catch. Down to the 35 of Penn State goes Kellen Davis. His 4th catch. Every one of them has been a big one.
Well, and I don't know many Big Ten quarterbacks today. You know, you got Hoyer, and he's got a great senior season to look forward to. I don't know many Big Ten quarterbacks that can hit these types of balls. That is a tight window. Kellen Davis with a nice feel for getting down the field on those seam routes. And Hoyer, you not only have to throw that ball with timing, but great accuracy. That was a super ball.
Gain of 23. Move the chains. 1st and 10. Ringer. Right into the arms of Dan Connor, not going anywhere.
Well, and you know, on that second down call early in this drive, you know, I didn't love the call, but I really like the game that Don Treadwell has called for Michigan State, especially in the second half. And he's done a nice job of getting Hoyer some opportunities off play action, and also done some nice work in the drop back game. This is tough play calling here when you get down into this area, especially because you've got that 3 points in your back pocket. You'd like 7, but you want to make sure you come up with 3.
Straight drop on second down. Hoyer guns it out complete inside the 15. Guess who again? Devin Thomas. His 7th catch, and he's had big ones. Between Thomas and Kellen Davis, they have put up some numbers.
You look at Thomas, and the physical stature really establishes that vertical, and when you're having success with the route, you go right back to it. That's the same post corner route that he scored on the last drive. Look at him. I mean, he's a big, strong athlete out at the wide receiver position. Nice hands. Only had 6 catches a year ago.
Gain of 22. 1st and 10. They can still get a first down. Colquitt to the 6. Every time he carries it, you see 3 white jerseys just being carried along the way. Look at the difference in the first half and second half, David.
Like night and day. And 6 for 10, not bad. 78 yards, 2 interceptions loomed large. Penn State led this game by 21 points. And what a second half by Hoyer. You got to give the big guys up front credit. Getvey and Clifford playing their last games here at East Lansing.
Penn State scrambling defenders on at the last moment. The pitch, Colquitt cuts back down to the 2, maybe to the 1. That would gain him a first and goal. And it is first and goal, Michigan State.
Who do you think's going to get the call on this play?
Number 30 back onto the field.
He has been getting so much work done here in the second half with just sheer will. Second effort. I think he's starting to soften this Penn State defense, starting to wear them down along the front 7.
First and goal, they operate out of the eye. Colquitt net right at the line. Man, hit hard. Bonnie Baju is there. Number 15, the redshirt freshman from Ethersburg, Maryland.
Baju really timed that up perfectly. Was able to meet Colquitt in the backfield. And as many linebackers and secondary players have found out in the Big Ten this year, not able to wrap him up, but able to slow him down before the troops arrive.
Yeah, just because you meet him doesn't mean much. Colquitt back in. Near the goal line, he'll be in there. Tries again, keeps the legs moving right at the goal line, and no signal, didn't get there.
Tyrell Sales. Outside linebacker laying a nice hit, getting Colquitt moving sideways, which is pretty tough to do. Talk about a huge series. Short yardage down on the goal line. Sales just able to keep him out of the end zone.
So it's third and goal inside the 1.
I think you got to keep feeding the big guy here. I don't think you get too fancy. I think you got to give it to number 30 one more time.
They do. He gets there. So Joe Paterno's team trails here in the 4th. More touchdowns than anyone in a single season for Michigan State. Colquitt powers his way in, swings in for the extra point. JU for a TD. 4-point lead, Spartans. Big second half for Michigan State. And David, even when they gave up that fumble, which led to a Penn State touchdown, just the look on the sideline, you had a sense that this was a team that wasn't going away in this particular game.
Now, this has to be a fan base that is excited about what they've seen from this team. First-year coach Mark D'Antonio. I think we're seeing some will and some fire from a team that really has been known for collapses and, going in the hole a bit down the stretch in November, the last 4 or 5 seasons, showing a lot of resolve as a football team tonight.
Molesky to kick. Wallace, Williams back deep for Penn State. Wallace from his own 5. Nowhere to go. Dropped at the 15. And remember what this is for Michigan State. 2003, the last time they went to a bowl game. They went to the Alamo Bowl, and they're trying to get to 7-5. If they're 6-6, might not do it. And they're trying to get to probably the Motor City Bowl. Penn State, a chance to go play in a New Year's Day bowl. But if they lose, most likely, the Alamo Bowl, perhaps?
Well, and for Penn State, beyond just the bowl implications for the Nittany Lions, they have a chance for a 10-win season. Big drive for Anthony Morelli and maybe his legacy.
4 minutes to go. Kinlaw, who's been the workhorse, swarmed under. Gain of 2.
And there's 11 players on the field for this offense, but I think in his last regular season game, prospects of a bowl game on New Year's Day, maybe a 10-win season, Anthony Morelli is going to be on his shoulders here to make some throws and lead this team downfield.
22 yards this quarter. 3 receivers set. Kinlaw alone setback under center. Straight drop, quick throw. Morelli, and it's complete. Butler State inbounds. He's got a first down. Deion Butler with his 3rd catch.
Now, you cannot start a drive with more pinpoint accuracy. Dangerous ball. Had to get the ball up in rhythm. Out route.
But it's great timing, isn't it?
Well, ball was played pretty tightly by Davis Clark. Clark was sitting down on that out route and just 5 steps, right foot in the ground, boom, that football came out. Beautiful throw from Morelli.
1st and 10 at the 35. Goes on the run over the middle. Kinlaw. He's got another first down. They'll move the chains out at the 46. Kinlaw doing work not only on the ground, but his 3rd catch and a bit shaken up.
Official timeout. 1 injured Penn State player.
And remember, Evan Royster, he's been out since early in the game, 2nd quarter at least, with that ankle injury coming in and went off hobbling. So you've got Brent Carter, the redshirt freshman, who's coming in for Kinlaw right now.
Kinlaw has been the workhorse. There have been a lot of workhorse backs that have packed the mail over the years at Penn State. An every down type of back, a back that's become more and more comfortable in the zone rushing scheme over the 100-yard mark.
Carter's going to get a try, and he's close to a first down. A little bit short maybe, but Brent Carter, former safety who made the switch to tailback in the spring. They worked him some more on the defensive end, but needed a guy back here with Royster. A couple of injuries, obviously Austin Scott out. Just his 9th carry this season. And a critical drive here. Daylight again, or first down. And it doesn't matter who they have in there. Carter doing the work now behind that offensive line.
Carter, a guy who played some safety, came in as a tailback at Penn State. As you said, Terry worked himself into that 3rd tailback position with Austin Scott getting the suspension, but he's looked pretty impressive on his first 2 carries.
Pretty impressive drive here. Morelli under pressure, room to run. And does inside the 30. About 3 yards shy of a first down. Gain of 7 for Anthony Morelli. Brandon Long ran him down there. Clock continues to run.
I love the decision by Morelli. Pull the football down. The Michigan State defense not expecting Morelli to tuck it. That's a nice positive play on first down.
Hesitates, tripped up, and that may have saved 6. Got a first down, but Kendall Davis Clark tripped him up. He was gone. So under 2 minutes, and the clock stops momentarily. 1st and 10 for Penn State. Morelli, and they whistle at that before it gets going.
Snap. Timeout. Michigan State. They're first.
35-31, Michigan State. A big second half here in this Big Ten matchup. Terry Gannon, David Norrie, Janine Edwards down on the field. Penn State perhaps trying to get to a New Year's Day bowl and get to 9 wins on the season. Michigan State has lost so many games, close games in the Big Ten, but trying to move to 7-5 and make it to a bowl game for the first time since 2003. And Anthony Morelli, who's been really under the gun the last couple of years, criticized often by the media, but trying to put together an impressive drive here to close this one out for Penn State. You take a look at that last drive and how Michigan State, David, took the lead.
Devin Thomas coming into the game with 68 receptions. One of the true top receivers, not only in the Big Ten, but the country. Cole Crick, third down comes calling. He's had himself a heck of a night, pounding away at this Penn State defense. This Michigan State team trailed 24-7. They've shown a lot of life, a lot of resolve. And Anthony Morelli, for the first time facing a deficit in this football game, has put together a nice drive of his own. Terry, I think this will have a lot to do with his legacy if he can win this football game, drive his team down the field, get this Nittany Lion team a win.
Rodney Kinlaw back in at tailback. He's been the workhorse. A big night for him. Was shaken up, just came back in. Incomplete in the end zone. Morelli looking for Chris Bell. Penn State down to 2 timeouts remaining. Mark D'Antonio in his first year at Michigan State, trying to change the belief system here. Said early on he believed they would make it to a bowl game. He thought they'd have a winning season. Not many believed in him. Really under pressure, incomplete. Neon Butler with a man all over him.
Penn State obviously in a situation where a field goal is not an option. Down by 4, they're going to have to finish off this drive with a touchdown. A couple of incompletions create some additional pressure for Anthony Morelli as well as his offensive line. It's going to be interesting to see just how Michigan State plays this on defense. Will they bring pressure? Talented wide receivers outside for Penn State, always ready to make plays vertically.
Big third down. Morelli, straight drop. Guns it, incomplete. Right at the goal line. Derek Williams, the man who was there, but there were 2 Michigan State defenders as well. Travis Key, the free safety, was sitting down about the 5-yard line. Morelli forced to throw that ball before Williams could get his eyes back. 4th and 10. Football game on the line here. Penn State only with 1 timeout. You get the ball back to Michigan State. You can about kiss this one goodbye. Right here, right now. 4th and 10. To the end zone. No good. Frustration here in East Lansing. 2003 Alamo Bowl, and now perhaps a minute 27 away from moving to 7-5 and going bowling again.
A lot of pent-up frustration from the Nittany Lion faithful. And Anthony Morelli, it's been a rough ride over the last 2 years. And 3 of those 4 downs were low percentage throws down the field. A couple of throws out of the back of the end zone. It was an impressive drive. They were set up to win this football game.
Timeout. Penn State. Their second.
Reaction from the Michigan State sideline.
The 32nd timeout.
D'Antonio's reaction after the incompletion in the end zone.
Penn State had such a nice drive set up. First down in the red zone. And you can't get greedy. You can't try to make the big throws. They took the shot on first down. 4 straight incompletions. Talk about a drive coming to a grinding halt with the game on the line.
But it is what Michigan State has not been able to do, David. We've talked about it. Whether you look at it from the standpoint of the last number of years, overall, great starts and then couldn't finish seasons, or in games this year and losing so many close games.
You look at this team over the last 4 or 5 years, they've had great first halves under John L. Smith, but a team that has really wilted in November. Usually a big game, they get derailed. This year they started with 4 straight victories out of the gate for Mark D'Antonio. Had a real tough loss against Wisconsin.
They'll keep it on the ground. Holtbrick out to the 25. And how about Hoyer, too? I mean, here's a guy as a quarterback, young guy. He's a junior, only 1 start last year, and it was against Penn State, an entirely new system this year. And caught some heat after the game against Michigan, lost there. Antonio's upset.
Well, I think he's talking about the clock.
Well, I'm not sure this is what he's pointing to, but the scoreboard, there's a discrepancy in the timeouts because the referee, when that last timeout, or second to last timeout now, was taken, he pointed the Penn State way, but said Michigan State timeout. And so they were right for a while on the scoreboard, and then it changed.
Well, and Mark D'Antonio contending that Penn State only had 1 timeout left, not 2 timeouts.
Right. It said 3 timeouts to 1 timeout, so he's planning strategy that way.
He's pointing the scoreboard, and I think he believes, as it was indicated on the scoreboard, there was only 1 timeout left for Penn State.
Holtbrick, the senior, to a host of Penn State tackles.
And that changes things significantly because now Penn State's going to get the football back, and they're going to have about a half minute, maybe a little bit less to work with. I've seen a lot stranger things happen in college football.
Under a minute and counting. Penn State out of timeouts now.
Officials taking their time starting the play clock, but you look at the differential. There's going to be about 20 seconds left when Penn State gets the football back. Of course, they're going to try to come after the punter here, I'm sure.
Dave Whitfolk, the referee from the Big Ten. And that's what Antonio's pointing to. He's saying, look, I'm going off that, and it was wrong.
Timeout, Michigan State.
Or I believe that's what he's saying. Speculation, but I pretty good bet.
Well, he was either contending that Penn State didn't have 2 timeouts or the fact that they didn't wind the clock. Create for more than a couple anxious moments for Mark D'Antonio and the Michigan State Spartans. 27 seconds to go. Penn State's going to come after the punter here. You can be sure of that. And then Anthony Morelli's going to get a couple opportunities down the football field.
Aaron Bates at his own 15. There's Derek Williams back at the 37 of Penn State. Everybody else up at the line. Bates gets it off. Good punt. Williams going back inside his own 30. Bobbles it. Fumbled it. Out of bounds. Penn State football. 15 seconds left. Everybody jumping up on the Michigan State sideline, but that went out of bounds.
Well, that gets you close to home. Getting the punt off and getting that type of punt. Close to 80 yards for Penn State. What you want to do here, if you're Anthony Morelli in this Penn State offense, you want to try to hit a ball out near midfield. This is a lot like the situation that Michigan, Colorado found themselves in. Colorado, Cordell Stewart, 2 plays left. A big game against Michigan. The catch, what you try to do is you try to hit a crossing route out near midfield and then take a shot on the last play of the game.
Really? A lot of time being wasted. Throws it short to Kinlaw, who goes down at the 23. And that will do it. Michigan State able to hold on after the comeback and move to 7-5 on the season, and perhaps going bowling. Hoyer leading the way. D'Antonio in his first year able to defeat Joe Paterno and the Nittany Lions. Penn State falling to 8-4, which matches Michigan after their loss to Ohio State. Chevrolet players of the game: Rodney Kinlaw, 125 yards. Devin Thomas, big night, 7 catches, 139 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet make a $1,000 contribution of each school's general scholarship fund. So Joe Paterno and the Nittany Lions going to leave on the losing end here in East Lansing. 35-31, a huge win for D'Antonio and the program here. For David Norwich and Ian Edwards and our entire crew, I'm Terry Gannon. Michigan State 7-5, holding on against the Nittany Lions. So long, everybody, from East Lansing as we send it back to the studio.